I did start getting properly sick last night. Like, I'd been feeling rough for a few days, but it, like, really started hitting me last night. And today's been worse, so who knows, maybe. Maybe it was Trump's fault.
I mean, that
Oh.
sounds par for the course, but I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you, friendo. Oh, jeez.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing all
I'll
right.
sort
What's
out
good,
cat
Gibbs?
cam in a minute.
Sounds good.
Are you all having fun?
Are you on the
No.
cans again?
Not until you got here.
Oh, fair enough.
All right.
What are you guys planning on
He's
doing?
on the cans again.
All kinds of shit.
I'm not on the can. I'm on my car phone, you jackass.
Yeah, you know,
No,
the
it's sort of like
can,
two cans put together
with
with
the
the string.
string.
Yeah, I knew. I got you. Yeah. These guys, they don't know.
Well, I mean, the good news is I'm actually in Evansville, so I'm 10 minutes from the house, but whatever.
Sounds
They
good.
see what it is. They were too rich, bro. They grew up with actual phones. We had the strings. String in the
All that privilege.
Yeah, here's the problem. I tried that. That shit didn't work in real life.
It worked like wonders, bro. You just gotta.
Problem was
use
you
a
weren't
little,
poor
old
enough.
Magic. Yeah, little sleep for dinner and some imagination, bro.
Man, I guess. Hey, Leafy, what was your general pitch for tonight going to be?
Oh, we're just talking about the election, cope, and hope. What's good?
Okay, well, I can do that as my last episode, but I've got to be real. Apparently, I am not suited for American politics because I voted for the last three losers.
What is going on in your background?
Not only that, but like, is this your
They're
last
killing the
episode?
cats. They're killing the dogs.
Oh.
Yeah,
In the background of your fucking audio.
Are you saying this is your last episode? Is that what you're saying?
dude, I'm gonna actually talk about this when I get home, but like, the long and the short is, I'm actually seriously just trying to have a serious conversation with myself about not giving a shit about politics, because like on every single level, I'm either infuriated or I'm just like in the minority, and like there's only so much I can deal with that before just like I want to take my toys and go the fuck home. I see that fucking smile, Gibbs.
I didn't say anything. I said nothing, bro. I'm just
saying is that just it sounds like you're
look.
quitting.
Two things. One, as far as saying nothing, yeah, you didn't say anything. I'm just saying.
Well, you said you're gonna talk about it. You said you're gonna talk about it more in depth when you get back. I knew tonight was gonna be a wild night. It's already starting off wild. We're not even 5 minutes in. Come on, let's get home. I'm ready to hear some more stuff.
Yeah, Sprout finally managed to get away from his captors and made his way to freedom. He's right now in the safe house, which is
that
a
what
closet.
you're calling it? Is that what you're calling it?
That's funny.
Sprout got kidnapped, and I wasn't paying the ransom,
That's
so
hilarious.
I told him to figure it out.
Under the Harry Potter thing, under the Harry Potter league. That's what I thought you were about to go with. What is that? The stairway spot?
I was about to make a joke about him being in the closet.
No.
There you go.
Considering the circumstances, Lethy, that was fucking hilarious.
Hey, gotta give you a warm welcome back. And of all the times to show up, so many people are pulling up after yesterday.
All right, while the chat is here, okay, I just want to make it very clear to the chat that I called this. I called every part of this. I called that, but I was the first one to call that Biden was not going to be the Democratic nominee. And actually, I had what's his face? I forget his name. Right on the couch. Paul. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Something about Paul?
Lethy? Paul.
Speaking of Paul, we got to talk about Paul. Where was Paul? He told me we were going to be drinking the wee hours of the morning.
No, he comes in here all the time. His girlfriend was on here with us one time, and we liked her better than him.
Yeah, that's Paul.
And we got to ask him for his girlfriend back. Okay, Paul. Okay, yeah. So Paul, he made a bet with me that Biden was going to be the nominee. Biden was not the nominee, and then as soon as they named Kamala Harris, I said Trump has got this in the bag, and Trump had it in the bag. So I'm just saying, I called all of this.
That's what
I mean, I've
figured.
been saying Trump's going to win this fucking election for the last 2-3 years. I don't know.
No one cares about it, okay,
But
Vivian?
I
Who
will
cares?
credit Vivian that she said that. She told me she thought Trump was going to win several times.
I mean,
Thank
hoping
you.
for
Holy
sanity
shit.
from
And everybody's
Americans.
telling me I'm just a doomsayer and shit. And I tell you for why, right? There's two fucking reasons that this atrocity has been visited upon the American people, right? And it is one, libs, two, men. Okay? Firstly, men, alright? All these fucking Joe Rogan podcast watching fucking dipshit bros. You can see in the fucking figures as well. Like young men turned out real fucking big for Donald Trump. Right? Men are a fucking problem, and we need to do something about them. I'm sure we can discuss that later. But regardless. Secondly, libs. Libs are fucking stupid. They think that they can appeal to the general public through dipshit fucking rhetoric about how bad the other person is, right? They just want to take the Republicans. The problem is they're not willing to go as far as the Republicans are. They're not willing to say, "Hey, the other party is this world-ending threat that's gonna like rape all your babies, trans all your kids, destroy the fucking world with their satanic pedophile cabal." Right? They're not willing to go quite that far. They'll get close, but they won't go quite that far. So it's not as effective. Like people aren't as scared of the things that the Democrats say about Republicans as they are about the things that Republicans say about
Well, to be
the
very
Democrats.
clear, here,
The
Viv.
thing. Wait, I'm almost done.
Okay.
I'm almost done. So, but the thing that the major thing is, they do all that fucking rhetoric, and yet they do not tell people how they're gonna fucking improve shit in their lives. The average fucking American doesn't give a shit about 90% of this stuff, and when they're in the voting booth, they're thinking, well, I'm fucking poorer than I was 4 years ago, gas prices are up, food prices are up, my money doesn't go as far as it could, right? And it wasn't this bad 4 years ago under Trump, right? And that's what they're thinking. And unless you address the fucking material conditions in which people live, they're gonna be fucking disappointed in your presidency. Things didn't get particularly bad economically under Trump. They just didn't, right? There were some ups and downs there for sure, but like not to the degree. And you can say it's not Biden's fault. We had COVID, we had the war in Ukraine or whatever, pushing up oil prices, right? But there are numerous things that Congress and the Democrats could have done to address those fucking issues. And during the campaign, they could have talked about how they're going to address some of those issues, even if Biden did almost fuck all during his presidency to do so. But they didn't do that, so people ain't going to vote for them. So people didn't want to vote for the Democrats. They were fucking disillusioned with them. And young men were inspired to go out and vote for Trump because of dipshit podcast bros and Elon Musk.
So to make it very clear, I did not vote for Trump. I wrote in I did a write-in for the presidential election. But I've also voted Democrat for the Indiana governor because I think the Indiana Republican Party needs a kick in the ass for not listening to their voters. But so to make it very clear on like what my position is I didn't vote for either candidate. I did a write-in. But yeah.
Did you write in
I mean,
Hawk?
No,
What
I
state
wrote.
were you in?
Actually,
that Hawk Tour for president, Hawk Tour.
Actually, I wrote in Mad Dog Mattis. I wrote it in James Mattis.
Fucking serious? That's
Yeah,
very funny.
I'm fucking serious because I knew I was wasting my vote, so I was just trying to figure out who to waste it on. But it was just a protest, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable voting for either side.
What was there a protest against?
Shitty candidates.
Would you say it's an effective protest?
If a large majority of America did write-ins instead of voting for either party, then I would say it's effective at that point. Yeah, and me doing it by myself, I can't tell you the effectiveness of it. It's probably minimal to none.
I mean, a large amount of Americans either refused to vote or did write in or voted third party, right? A significant chunk of people did. The Democrats lost some fucking 10 million plus voters from the last election, and they've got to reckon with that, right? And but I don't think that they're looking at somebody who voted Republican previously and going, "Oh my God, this guy wrote in Mattis. I guess we really got caught his vote." I don't think in your case, I don't think it fucking matters. Like,
I don't think it. I also live in Indiana. They called it the second the polls closed. Like they didn't have numbers when they called Indiana to be Republican.
Sounds about right. That's why I wasn't really sweating Trump voters in California. Like, California's going to be blue. Nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
listen. I can listen to anyone that yells at me that I should have voted Kamala and that I'm this terrible person because I didn't vote Kamala Harris. Like I could have voted Kamala and I live in Indiana. Nothing would have happened. The only thing that would have changed is she would have had one more on that popular vote. That's it. So I live in Indiana. It's not a fucking swing state.
I will say there was like I think that they're like not only was it bad shit, I think there's like some level of I don't know if I want to call it delusion. You know what, I am gonna call it delusion. I'm gonna call it delusion. There was some level of delusion on the left this time to where I would see them saying things that were just crazy, right? And I'm not really a vibes guy. I guess I am a vibes guy. Fuck it, I don't know what I am. I just let's go with vibes. Let's start with that. They were telling me straight to my face, like, Gibbs, you know what, Texas is gonna flip blue. Now I thought, hey, ribbon, haha. But then I got two different people, like fairly well known panelists, to go, Gibbs, Cruz is gonna lose, all red's gonna win. And I'm just like driving around and I don't see one all red sign anywhere. I don't see any stickers. Now, I remember when Beto almost beat Cruz last time. I still see Beto. Beto for president, Beto stickers, Beto for like whatever, for senator. I get all of it still. I see more Beto stickers than all. I knew he wasn't going to win, but I got told I was insane. It's just, I think there's some sort of disconnect with the left and their strategy and reality right now, and I think that's a bigger indicator of why
I mean, when
they
you say the
failed in this
left,
election.
do you mean the libs or do you mean the left? Because the Democrats have pretty clearly stated that they're not the left, right?
Well, they're both left of me. I'll tell you that.
That's fine.
Sure. I mean, as for specifics, I mean, the Democratic Party would probably be the specific stats for like which faction in there. I mean, I'm sure y'all would be better experts at that than I would. But somebody on y'all's side seems to have missed the boat on what the average person, the normie, has been saying. And I feel like I've been trying to represent like a normie take on here, and I'll say like my opinion, and I'll say I sympathize with some of my constituents, or like not constituents, some of my like fellow conservatives that like have this opinion. Now I don't have that opinion per se, but these choices do make sense to me. Like I would tell people this, and they'd go, "Gibbs, you're insane, you're crazy." And it seems like this was a referendum on that with this
Gibbs,
election.
So Gibbs, what I find funny, quite honestly, what I find comical, is that the left is not praising Trump as president because he's the first felon to ever become president. He is felons. They are not treated. Felons are not treated right by society.
You're
and
right.
we've successfully made a felon a president. So I think that's progress for felons, and
I
I'm surprised the
agree.
Democrats are mad about that.
That's
You know
a
what?
very funny meme.
And they even were the ones who made it happen, like all the way around. You make a good point here. Like, what's more of a DEI hire than a felon getting elected president? You know, that is a comeback.
You know what? I know, hilarious meme. I'm sure there'll be lots of people laughing about that all the way to the morgue to see their deceased fucking girlfriend who's died because she couldn't get an abortion. I'm sure they'll be laughing all the way.
You have to take it and go all the way to someone dying. Okay, cool.
All right. So,
well, hey, I mean, the amount of people who are going to die under a fucking Trump presidency is alarming, right? Like,
Trump isn't going to straight up outlaw abortion.
I mean, he's caused enough damage to abortion rights to actually cause deaths, but
already, and they want to go further.
As far, I mean, his justices did, yes. He did not personally.
I'm gonna give you guys 45 minutes, and I might go further, but like I'm strapped for fucking time as it is, and then like there's a level where I'm straight up probably going to announce my retirement from Twitch Bowl because it's all terrible.
Good to see you, Ty.
Yeah, good to see you
It's
too.
about to kick off
Ty,
again, man.
Why are you
just treat it
making
like a
Gibbs
hobby.
happy?
You
There's
don't
too
need to
many things in
retire.
1 week
Treat it like
making
a
No,
Gibbs
it's
happy.
just this is just like there's a lot going on. I knew tonight was gonna be wild. It's already starting off wild. And y'all know I love chaos, and this is all chaos. Big fan.
All right, so which part do we actually want to tackle on first? Because I swear to God, if I get down to abortion conversation, I'm just gonna fucking
Tackle what I
you
said.
want to talk about.
Tackle what I said. So here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm finding comical, right? Is
Mhm.
that the Democrats are not praising Trump as president because he's the glass breaker for felons. He's a felon and he has become president. And I think this is going to be good progress for felons, and maybe they won't be treated as roughly by society now. And I'm confused as why Democrats think that having a felon for a president is also a bad thing when they're all
because they
about
didn't do it.
equality and all about diversity.
Like the bottom line is they would have totally have loved to take that win if it had been them that to do it, but that's not the case, right? And like that's part of our political system that does bother me is that like we do hold up the line on both sides of the aisle to get a political win, down the line. So that's a problem. But like there's just so many levels where going down this. But like that to me, that's just like cheap PR shit. I'd rather talk about like the general consequences of this election, and more particularly like what message should Washington actually fucking take. Because I've seen 1,001 commentators have 1,001 different fucking opinions, and I think most of them are wrong. I'm not going to say that I am equipped to say what's right because I've been on the losing side of national politics for the last 3 election cycles, major election cycles, right? Granted, back in the 2016 days, I was a lot more left, so like I was probably going to lose that one no matter what. I'm cool with that. But like I voted for Trump when people voted for Biden because I thought that this country was, ironically, all the arguments that we had today was what I was saying back then. And now it's
so why
like,
didn't
hey,
you
I'm
vote
moving
for
on
a Trump now?
because like I moved on. Like, okay, let me go down a couple of the arguments, right, that I think are kind of legit. Number one, libs are insufferable cunts. True, but they've been far less insufferable cunts since Roe took a shit. Like, I've been able to have meaningful discussions with like libs on a number of topics and a number of issues since 2022. When Roe took his shit, like a half the hubris got nuked. And so like I'm like, hey guys, like I can talk with these people, I can engage with them. They're not nuts. Meanwhile, I've got Magatrain over here, which is like I agree with you guys on like 60% of shit, maybe even 70, but like this shit's deranged. Like, why are we talking about the dogs and the cats getting eaten? Like, we could talk about what's going on in California, or we can actually talk about how the border is bullshit.
You don't care about your dogs?
Zach, God damn it.
I mean, yeah, I care about my dogs. I don't want them getting eaten.
Oh my God. Anyway, so like there's levels where I have had to do some personal reflection on. It's like, all right, so like, why am I off from like the national like outcome here? And I think it's very clear. I'm just too institutional. Like, I want to preserve and or like transform institutions where it's very clear to me, and this is my key takeaway for this entire election. The American people are saying, just straight up, if there's any one thing, it's not we hate the Democrats or we love MAGA or any of this shit. It's actually just, if you do not provide for us, if you don't actually show that you're putting up as much work as we are, because some of us are working 50, 60 hours a week, and we're, putting up with all the shit, and you're not working for my vote, and you're not trying to convince me that you're actually out there for me, I will fucking shove a brick square up your ass. And that is exactly what we saw during this election.
Wait, is that accurate? So Nair just said that President Putin confirms his readiness to begin negotiations with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Houthis are ready for a ceasefire. Is that? Do you have sources for that? Is that actually accurate?
Yes, it's the Onion.
I did see something like that, but then I also saw something that said that he was waiting until Trump took office to see how things went then. I do think there'll be something there, because I think, honestly, it was designed for him to save the problem or to fix the problem. Uh, I think him getting in was why there was a war to begin with. So
It's an interesting idea. I don't know that that's the truth or you can even quantify that, but fair enough.
well, I mean that's a lot of red tape, red string, and on the wall. But Putin is allied with Hamas. He's allied with Iran, and he wants Trump to get in office. At one point, the country cared about Ukraine. Then suddenly, this other war happened, and now the left is divided, and it cost us an election.
I wouldn't trust this source. I'm just saying, like this source seems very biased. So just making
apparently,
a clarification here.
This is the best meme I've seen. Trump versus Obama in 2028 when they repeal the 22nd Amendment. That's fucking hilarious.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I don't think Ukraine's going to be in a great position at this point.
Either this is going to go incredibly bad for them or it's going to go incredibly well. But I don't know.
Zelensky was the first foreign leader to congratulate Trump on winning.
He did because
Pretty good political move, I think. Pretty smooth.
I'm going to say he congratulated him. His sweat was running down his back, scared shitless for his country. Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I think he's going to handle things. It's going to help us out. He got NATO to start funding their fair share. That's a good negotiation tactic. You know, it's nice that they're actually contributing fully to the NATO alliance, you know. And hey, maybe they can take up a bigger load in Ukraine. You know, isn't that the point of NATO? Like to be our bitches and do our shit for us. Like that's what they should be doing. They're our client states. Let's just say it like it is. Why are we having to do as much as we are? You know, everybody complains about us being the global police, and then we ask them to pay their fair share, and suddenly that's crazy. I think it was negotiation. I think that hopefully he can get the people to stop dying over there in Ukraine. But I personally would like him to fund Ukraine. You know, I like to support the Ukraine war. You know, I personally, it helps me. I think that also Russia's the evil empire. You know, I don't think that Trump is totally naive when it comes to foreign policy, though. I think he did pretty solid when he was in office, foreign policy wise. I think Biden's left is pretty shaky. I mean, look at Mexico. Mexico just had Chinese and Russian elements in their parade. Military parade. They've taken over as the leading gifter of oil to Cuba, and they've done also a whole massive new deal with them economically. So basically, now Cuba and China and Russia, they're adding Mexico to a little alliance. And what is Biden slept on the watch? I mean, I don't know. Maybe being antagonistic to Mexico would have been a better thing because Biden's supposedly getting friendly with them, and it worked out so good for us, right? Like,
well, some sides should actually try to get Mexico on their side, but I guess that's the direction we took. And I think that's everyone's got the reasons why we lost. That's my theory on it. Was we create this boogeyman around Trump and his racism towards Mexicans and the border and his obsession with this wall for 8 years, and then we basically said, well, we're going to do the same thing, but not as efficiently.
No, but here's the thing. I don't think they're going to do the same thing. I think the news is majorly going to back off. And the reason I think that is because Trump can't get a third term. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the news majorly back off on like the name calling and like this all this negative coverage because they're just going to cover basically what they need to cover. And they know that at the end of this term, he's done.
That doesn't matter, though. They already have Kamala and Biden backing a Republican policy for the border. That was enough to turn off some voters.
Hey, Jeb. Good to see
After we
you,
spent 8 years saying that it was wrong when Trump did it, we did it.
well,
All right. So,
I mean,
Leafy, go ahead, buddy.
oh yeah, I'll just real quick. Here's the thing with the border, right? Like, there's a reason why Latinos, and I have been telling everybody, Latinos are going to turn out for Trump. I've been saying it. Y'all have heard me say it. Witness. Papa Gibbs said it. I've been saying they were turned out because I was talking to my mates. What was it yesterday? I guess now when they were here, and I was like, "Hey, who are y'all voting for?" Because I knew they'd just been naturalized like last year or something, and they were like, "Hey, well, we're both voting for Trump." I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "Well, immigration's a big one," and I was like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, we came through legally. Why do other people get special treatment?"
No.
So it's not just like
He's going to get rid of illegal immigrants too, so they're probably gone.
Yeah, fake news. That's wrong. You can't get
He
deport
said he was
citizens. You
going
can't
to.
deport citizens. Yeah, okay.
He didn't say he was going to
This-
get rid of legal immigrants. Hold on.
Yeah, legal immigrants
he
who are
did.
citizens. These are already naturalized people.
When did
So,
he
like,
say that?
once again, wrong.
With the
Secondly,
Haitians.
this is the thing: is like I've been saying for months.
Well, no, those are temporarily
years,
protected
that the
immigrants. So
Hispanics
when
were
they're
gonna
no
vote.
longer
Those are
protected,
those
they're no
are
longer
vote
legal.
for Trump
those
more.
are not citizens.
And it turns out they did vote for Trump in droves because
Yeah.
immigration wasn't an issue to them. The economy was a bigger issue, and like it's just we've been lied to. There's so many people are like, oh, it's all facts. I'm like, no, they're just the facts, and but no.
It's ridiculous that we're a country built off immigration. It's not even our land.
They're not citizens, and they're not granted the same. They're not granted the same privileges as citizens.
I mean, we're also a country that partially
if you
built
become
off
like an
slavery,
American
but
citizen
there
through
was
the naturalization process,
hold on.
you're a citizen.
No, I'm talking. He's talking about
Hey,
refugees.
Desperado.
Oh yeah, that's
I
different.
mean, this is Native American land, but we're saying like
How's it going?
first, but we were never here
Good to
first.
see you.
Wait, what?
Well,
we
if
just
someone wants
home
to come,
land
if someone
for
wants to
them,
come, if
and
someone
now
with
we
their
don't want
military
the other
wants to come,
kid.
if someone with their military might wants to come over
Sorry
and
to
take over the United States, then they can say they were
I'm-
here first too.
So, in order to get citizenship, you have to have tanks. You have to have guns. What?
No, you
No,
just
you don't.
it's
No,
actually
you
actually-
go through the
citizen?
naturalization process.
yeah, it's really
You mean they're
easy
supposed to have a
you
green
go
card.
through a legal port of entry, you get a job so you can get a green card, you marry somebody you can get a green card. There's like 13 different ways to come to the country and become a legal immigrant.
I mean, I heard Vance talking about it. He thinks they should wait 10 years to get one.
Who?
10 years not to get a green card, 10 years to become citizens.
That's what he said when the vice presidential debate.
To citizens.
10 years.
No, he did
Not to
not.
get a
To
green
citizens,
card.
not to get a green card. A green card is how you get here. It's a visa, not citizenship.
Yeah,
And
but
I
he thinks
agree
you
with
should wait
I
in
agree with him.
Mexico. He thinks
We
you
all-
should stay in Mexico. You can't even come to the United States until you
No,
get
no,
that.
that's only for
No, you can
asylum
come to the
seekers.
United
If you
States
get a
with a
job,
green
you can.
card.
That's
yeah,
not
if-
what he said.
Asylum seekers don't get green cards. Asylum seekers get asylum applications. Green card holders are people who get jobs. They come here to work. They come here because they got married. They come here for one of those reasons. Those people are separate from asylees. They would not be subject to remain in Mexico. Remain in Mexico only.
You talked about people on green card. You're talking about like the Haitians in Ohio that they wanted to deport.
No, they're not on green cards. They're refugees.
No, yeah, they came here without green cards. They did not apply for asylum. They downloaded an app and they tapped a button that said, "Give me temporary protected status," basically. And JD Vance called that out, and he did not get corrected because he was not incorrect.
And we got cat
Gatsby,
visit.
what's your outsider's perspective on like not only like the world response but also just your own partake?
Yeah, sorry. Last time I tried to turn on the cat, it just fucking crashed my computer.
Discord will do that with the camera sometimes.
Yeah, it just
Like Viv is mad at me already. She's gone.
What? I'm here.
Oh yeah, no.
What are you talking about, you fucking dweeb?
I know when you crashed, I was like, oh, I must have said something already.
Oh, you're
If
fine.
using the app as a legal method, then it's a legal method.
You're fine. Unless you voted for Trump.
You can
in
say
which
that. You
case,
can say that about
no.
anything. If you disagree with the law, then you disagree with what's legal.
If you voted
Sure.
for Trump,
Like-
you're scum.
It's
But otherwise you're fine. I don't mind.
anything. If you disagree with anything the government says, then you're disagreeing with what's legal
What?
or what should be legal.
I don't know.
What
I'd
are
like
you
us
talking
to.
about? The
I
government
don't have
says
enough
lots of
validated
things
for
that
this.
aren't,
I don't know
that
what that
aren't
was.
law. What are you talking about? Jesus.
All right, Leafy, where did you want this conversation to go? I got 30
Yeah,
minutes
what's
tops.
the...
So how's everybody feeling
Talk-
now that the great
talking
American
about-
victory has come?
I have not
I don't know.
slept.
I imagine you're probably feeling pretty great about it because you're a bottom-feeding scumfuck. But most normal people are like, damn, shit, that kind of fucking sucks.
I don't know. It looks like most normal people voted overwhelmingly for Republicans, so I'd have to disagree.
Those people ain't fucking normal. What are you
Really?
talking about?
Wait, the people
The
that
country's
Kamala did the
overrun by
best with are
deranged fucking
overwhelmingly rich, overwhelmingly anti-religious. They're like the weirdest people. The most unique people are the ones that Kamala did the best with. The most normal people are the ones that Trump saw gains with. He saw gains with every
uneducated white
single
male?
group in the United States.
You mean the uneducated white male?
It's just not
No,
normal
not
to vote for
necessarily.
Trump.
The white
That
male
makes
also
you-
went.
That was
that
his
makes you an
big demographic, though, was the uneducated white male.
Oh, you mean Trump? He also got white
Yeah.
women. He also got.
Yeah, but that wasn't his main demographic.
Well, yeah. Everybody's
main
everybody's main
demographic was
demographic
college
are
dropouts
the
who sit
larger
there listening to Joe
demographics.
Rogan all
Yeah.
fucking day.
He saw gains with
Fucking
every single
actual
voting
burnout.
group in the United States.
Specifically Latinos, after being told he was racist,
Yeah,
by the
Latinos too.
Dems. Yeah, they were a massive.
Latinos won him the
Well,
election.
yeah, that's what I
largely,
said. It was a
because
big
they know it's not.
It was
They know
a
it's
big
not
mistake
racist.
for Biden
Well,
and
of course
Harris
it's not.
to even indulge you guys with the border because it
Can I ask you a question?
validated
Where do you what part of the United States do you live in?
Ohio.
the North.
Okay, you live in the north. See, I live here
Yeah,
on the border. It's
where
a
your
problem.
where your psychotic
It's a problem.
vice
It's a problem.
president
Are you gonna come like
all these white
listen?
supremacists
No, it's not white.
out to rape.
This is why I'm retiring from
Rally
politics.
here.
I literally cannot do this fucking like victory lap.
Where we had bomb threats
cringe
because you
denialism
fuckers.
all across the board.
What were you
Like, hey, look,
expecting today?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I
No
didn't
big
expect
deal,
any
we
different.
had
That's
bomb
why I
threats.
need to leave.
Hold on.
Like,
Your
They're
entire town
Foul,
shut
foul,
down.
hold
I
up.
mean,
Foul, hold up. You're cutting off Ty. He was in
Like,
the middle of speaking.
yeah, so like there's so many different levels here. Like on some levels, I'm actually legitimately happy because I know I'm never gonna have to worry about DEI for the next 10 fucking years. Like that shit is now officially put to fucking bed.
What?
So like hooray!
DEI?
I don't have to- yeah, like,
you never really
diversity,
did.
equity,
You were worried.
inclusion, like
you
you
were
never really
worried
did what
about
Trump told
DEI.
you had to, so it became this big issue to you.
He's anti-Trump.
I don't know. There's still going to be diversity, equality, and inclusion in a lot
and
of
you
them.
will, and I like. I'm sorry, but it looks like if Democrats want to run on that shit, you are just welcoming up the door.
Wait,
to
what
just
do you
lose.
mean run on that shit? Who the fuck running on fucking DEI in the workplace or whatever?
Why was Kamala VP
Wait,
again? Just
half-
remind me on that.
Wait, hold on. Also,
was
half of
Kamala
Bro.
half of
VP
Kamala's
Kamala
hold
was
on.
VP just
Half
Here
of
we go.
Kamala's
Viv is,
stop.
Viv is answering.
Half of Kamala's platform
You said-
was
shut the
specifically
fuck up,
black
Viv.
aid. It was
Hey,
specifically
dipshit.
aid targeted to
Oi,
black
dipshit,
people. That
I'm
is
talking to Ty.
DEI.
Shut the fuck up. Wait your turn.
Yeah, I know, because it's a really inconvenient point for you to have to contend with. So just ignore
I
it and
actually
continue.
didn't hear a single fucking thing you said because I was talking to Ty. I don't know whether
Mhm.
your point was inconvenient for me or not. Wait your fucking turn. Anyway,
I mean, no, it's out there. Black aid
Sorry.
was half her platform. DEI. That's it.
so you think
Heard it that time?
No, I didn't. So Ty,
So you were talking and you still can't hear.
because I'm not fucking paying any attention to you. Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
so that's
Oh,
you.
Jesus.
I understand.
Have
That's
some
why
respect- have some
Democrats
respect-
lost the
I need to
election. They don't know
respond
how
to
to pay
the
attention.
election.
Okay, so
have
we're gonna go
have
ahead
some
and let
respect
Viv
for Lethe, whose
respond to
panel
Ty.
it is. Have some respect for Lethe, whose panel it fucking is. All right, he told you to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. If he tells me to shut the fuck up, I'll shut the fuck up. All right, Ty.
Very cool.
Yes,
Shut the fuck up. That way you can
Do you
talk,
think-
not lecture about shut the fuck up. Talk.
I know. It's a great use of the platform.
Viv,
I'm
please.
dying here.
So Ty,
Yes, ma'am.
do you think Kamala only got the position because she's like a black/Latina whatever fucking woman?
Yes, I have said this for literally the last 4 years. She's a failed up diversity hire. There is a reason why the majority of the country voted against her. This was not the primary one, but it was a massive facet into this. A lot of people think she doesn't deserve the office, let alone the VP shit. Like she's not popular with her own party. Then people wanted to act like she was this huge possible contender, and I'm like, hey, look, she's an empty suit. I'm voting for her because I'm sold on the fact that I'm the anti-Trump voter, but I am not voting for her. I don't even believe most Democrats are voting for her. So please stop telling me how she's just the best thing ever since sliced cheese, because she's
I
not.
don't think she's the
And
best thing ever since sliced bread.
No,
or
I'm
sliced
not
cheese,
referring to you,
whatever
but
said.
I'm referring to like
But-
I've got a little bit of like just angst against Democrats because it's like I knew this was going to be close, or I thought this was going to be close, right? I thought it was literally going to be like 276 to fucking like 260 and change, right? I was wrong, 100%. I'm cool with that. But every criticism that I've largely leveled against the left, like the right has not only like repeated, but like literally the country is saying those criticisms are why I voted against, or why they have voted against the Democratic candidate. Like,
Wow, they can follow a leader.
I don't remember DEI being in the polls. Right.
Wow, they believe everything Trump tells them. You say, oh wow,
But
cool.
but regardless, I mean, I think Kamala's like at least a competent politician to a certain degree. as competent as fucking Democrat politicians are, which is not very. But
I
but
mean,
regardless, she's not any less
I mean,
competent
like I
than
said, I will
anybody else
agree.
who could have taken the fucking role. You know.
I
will agree Kamala stepped on some rakes.
I mean,
but
she pretty verifiably is, right? She had the least committee appointments, missed the most votes, and had the highest staff turnover of any active politician during her time in the Senate. So I would say she was exceptionally unqualified and exceptionally bad at her job as a politician. Also, on the DEI term for the third time, half of her platform was black aid. It was aid that was going only to black people. It was absolutely a DEI platform.
I'm not gonna say it was like 100% or like just the primary was DEI, but like the issue is like the party who says like white straight people suck, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, Republicans are all racist, and they're getting turnout with all of the people that they're supposed to not be able to get.
So I gotta address this, Ty, because you're saying that most of the country didn't turn out for Kamala. In reality,
the
she got
majority
more
did not, clearly, right?
Well, ultimately, she got more votes than Obama and more votes than Hillary. She just was missing the extra 10 million or so that Biden had when he hit 81, but she's at 67. So people literally showed up for her, just not to the degree that she needed people to show up for her.
Right. So what's your point exactly?
But I don't think that's really fair to say, because we've had record numbers of voters in these past two elections. Like these are both record-setting elections in the amount of people that have voted.
This election will not be as big as 2020.
It's not as
from what
big.
we're looking.
It's not as big, but these are both record-setting.
Right. I'm not like all I'm saying is this. Like this is not. I'm not going to go into the whole degree of this is a blowout in the terms of percentage points. Right. Like Trump's going to win the popular vote. Okay, that's impressive. Cool. But again, like he's not going to get more than 52% of the vote. And I've said this for weeks now. It's like, even if you get the trifecta, which it looks like he's going to.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I don't care what you're talking about. I'm talking about what I want to fucking talk about, because y'all are fucking boring.
I'm talking about raw numbers. The amount of voters that voted in 2020 and in 2024, these are both record-setting elections. I'm not saying 2024 is bigger than 2020, but these are both the most amount of people that have voted.
That's great. Don't care. Like,
go up. Woo.
Like, whether the line go up or not, like, there's obviously like a number of sub conversations on like just getting people out to vote, who actually showed up. I think there's a far bigger conversation, and what the conversation needs to be had in both parties is that it looks like there's way more people in play than anybody ever gave credit for. Donald Trump did very well with people under the age of 25, which is
people who were missed in the polls, by the way, like young male voters. Like they don't show up in a lot of the fucking polls because people just don't expect them to be out there fucking voting. The Republicans like tapped into this is why it will be a relatively high turnout for this election. They tapped into a huge demographic of people who just hadn't voted before. And like I said earlier, they did that through fucking Elon Musk and Joe Rogan podcast and shit like that. It was a big fucking chunk of people, and it won them the election pretty much.
Yeah, they didn't hide from long-form conversations with mobilizers. That was Kamala's issue. She was only willing to have conversations with like establishment media, which doesn't really mobilize anybody. Like definitionally, it's established media. But alternative media has its downsides, but one of its main upsides is it's a way stronger mobilizing force, especially just in terms of sheer number of people that you have access to. That was one of the biggest missteps of her campaign.
I don't know. I really think if she would have, it would have been something else. Like at first it was she's not doing an interview, guys. She's ducking interviews. Then she had an interview on Fox when Trump wouldn't even get an interview.
And she did terribly.
Yeah, but she went into Lion's Den and took an interview with Fox, and that wasn't even good enough. Now she's got to go on Joe Rogan.
Well, you still need to do well.
If she went on Joe Rogan, you guys would have wanted her to go on Tucker Carlson.
No, you're acting like we're setting bars. We're just saying to help.
Her own party said she fucking failed that interview on Fox.
Yeah, like you can't do badly in an interview and say, well, at least I did the interview. The point of the interviews is to look good.
Also, Fox is established media. Like,
Yeah, the Fox didn't help.
The point was that you've got these huge fucking outlets. Let's call them that, right? Like Twitter with the fucking Twitter Spaces and shit, and Joe Rogan, which is it the most popular podcast in the world? I don't know. It's close, right? It's fucking close. At least the most popular in the English speaking world, right? Like, and and you've got both of these platforms absolutely muscled in on promoting Donald Trump, right? So like, what the question is, like, what could Democrats even have that would match the world's richest man's fucking now turned total propaganda Nazi shit pit, right? And the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't think there is anything, frankly. But I think they could. I think they could have at least like tried, right? They could do something.
Well, what's the biggest?
So
Democrat?
I indirectly agree with Vivian, and this is kind of my actual biggest key takeaway. I don't believe there was anything Democrats could have done within the last year that would have got them the win in this one. Like what it came down to, at least for what I'm seeing, is that whether you agree with it or not, hell, even I don't really agree with it, is that like the American people do not trust the Democratic Party to be competent actors. Like it's not even about morals and ethics. It's literally just, you cannot make my wallet fucking feel better. That is literally the message I'm getting out of all of this.
Well, they didn't provide a clear vision as to how they would. It's not even just the trust thing. It's that they didn't even give them anything to trust. Like Kamala had like 6 policies.
I don't know if they could even extend, even with a clear. My final.
Sorry, go on then.
Yeah, one thought, and then I know Desi's wanting to get in, but like my general take here is that even if they had a more clear vision, I'm not sure if they actually would have been able to succeed in a major way, because the problem here, and like this is something I've been kind of pushing for a while, but like Democrats refuse to accept it. Democrats are now the conservative party in the country. They just are. Like they are the pro-establishment party. They're the pro-institutional party. They are the ones that are actually trying to like hold and maintain the status quo. And then they have an entire wing of people called the progressives that are openly trying to like nuke it. Like they're trying to cater to two incredibly different audiences. And until they can figure that shit out, they're in a mess.
I don't see Trump as anti-establishment. He just wants the establishment built around him.
He's not reformative. He is destructive. Like this is why I voted against him. Is that
Get
I'm
in there,
an institutionalist. Like
just jump in.
I just like I didn't. He doesn't have a plan for like what America 2.0 is to me. Like he didn't sell me on that at all. What he did is like, hey, I want to be president because I'm fucking awesome. That's literally his entire shtick.
Fucking awesome is like crying every time you get the littlest bit of criticism. But
hey, look, I thought he was a sore fucking loser who didn't deserve the goddamn seat because he just wouldn't have some damn dignity. Like,
okay,
Desperado's
been waiting to talk. Desperado has been waiting to talk.
If you thought he was a sore loser, then what do you think of Kamala not even coming out to do a concession speech?
Okay, moving forward.
So I'm cool.
Moving forward, Despy.
Please have some respect. Are you saying Hillary Clinton's not a sore loser?
Sprout, cool it. Have some respect for Kai.
Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris are far less sore losers than Donald Trump ever could.
I hate all of you. You got to start using the fucking mute button.
I'm saying they're all sore losers. I'm not saying no one's a sore loser.
They're about to. So
go ahead,
Despy.
So I'm going to agree with Ty. I think that when Biden was doing his campaign in 2020, he was making a lot of promises for things that he couldn't cash in. And when he finally got into the presidency, a lot of the stuff that he said he was going to do, he backed out of. And some of the other stuff is like stimulus checks. Republicans hate stimulus checks. I know that. I don't give a fuck. But the thing is that when those passed, his favorability went up. And because he was doing something that materially, benefited the populace. I don't give a shit about what the economy, like with the businesses and economics, but he literally helped the individual people with those stimulus checks, which raised his favorability. Pretty much everything after that was almost all downhill. Like after that, like everything started just basically to go downhill, and they just see like mispromise after mispromise after mispromise. One of the biggest things was the student loans. The thing is that he promised he'd get rid of student loans. It got blocked. It got cock blocked. God knows how many times. He didn't just go like directly through the Higher Education Act and just nuke it and then have the courts figure it out after he nuked it. Like if he'd have done that, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would have been like more in line to vote, especially for like college educated people.
Forgiven all the loans. If he would have just forgiven all the loans, it would have been a lot different because the Supreme Court typically let those who had their loans forgiven be forgiven because you can't really unforgive a loan.
Exactly,
so
and that's
that
what I'm talking about.
actually
Hold
did
on just a
happen.
second. Hold on just
That
a second.
did
Let me
happen
finish up here.
this last-
So hold on just a second and
Sure.
let me finish here. So what I'm saying is because Biden couldn't deliver on these, and Kamala basically said that she was going to be just the same as Biden, everybody saw her as an establishment candidate, and an establishment candidate in the Democratic Party cannot win in the modern age.
Yeah. To clarify, loans did kind of, in a way, get unforgiven during Biden's
No,
term.
they got
That's one of,
frozen. They got
Well,
frozen. They
hold
applied.
on.
They applied for forgiveness. The application never went through. If
Nope.
Biden would have just, if
I
Biden would just
I
wipe,
promise
go ahead.
you,
Go ahead.
someone in my home had to send back a check because they had this deal where, especially in Democrat states, if you had recently paid off your student loans, the government would send you a check reimbursing you for you having paid off that loan so that you can benefit from forgiveness. And a lot
That's
of
not
people did that.
unforgiving loans, though.
Sure, but to them, they got a check.
To them, it might feel that way, but it's not.
Okay, no. But when we're talking about the effect on the electorate, that has the same exact effect on the electorate because they got a check from the government that they then had to pay back that they were told they were not going to have to pay back.
All I am simply stating is that Biden could have wiped these loans before the court had anything to say about it, and then once these loans were wiped, the court wouldn't. There would be no remedy because you can't go back and unforgive loans.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think
I
there would
called it out
absolutely
when
be a
Biden-
remedy, but
I literally said Biden is doing this because he knows it's going to fail in the court. And the only reason he was doing it when he did it is because he wanted midterm votes. He did it right before the midterm.
Yep.
He wanted the midterm votes. So he did it the way he did it. That way the court would block it after the midterm and then he wouldn't have to deal with it.
Because
I mean, no,
it's
but he did try
retarded
to
to
do
go
it again.
through the HEROES Act when you have the Higher Education Act. It's really retarded.
So there is a remedy. It's the same remedy that happened with the program that reimbursed people who had already paid their loans. You would get the loan forgiven, and then they would say, "Oh, actually, you do have to pay that money." In fact, the remedy that I described is harder than the remedy you're talking about.
The government can take money back that it gave from you. This has been well established. It has not been established that the government can forgive a loan and then unforgive it.
Yeah, but they could argue that it's that same mechanism, except instead of the money that they gave to you individually, that would be the money they gave to Sally Mae to forgive your loan.
It would be novel law, and there would be a large barrier to getting that.
I mean, it would be the Supreme Court who would almost overwhelmingly likely allow the remedy that had literally been used in very similar cases, because that's what originalists and traditionalists
do that if it's zeroed out? If it's zeroed out, how are they going to make it restart up again?
You realize zeroed out, it's not like snap fingers, loan is zero. It is a process of them dispersing funds to a lender in your place that they would then be forced to rescind because they didn't have the authority to disperse those funds the same way they had to do when they gave people checks for loans they had paid off and then took that money back. They're just doing it to Sally Mae instead of doing it to an individual. There's absolutely a remedy. I don't get this fairyland where they could just snap their fingers and do that. He would have done it. He would have bought the votes.
The government already owes this money. That's the thing. That's why these banks feel so secure in handing out college loans.
To do with what I said.
No. 1 second. Yes, it has everything to do with what you just said. Then that's why colleges are more than fine upping the amount of education cost every year because they know they're going to get the money because they know those loans are government backed.
Yes, 100%. That does not change the fact that they can take the money back if the courts strike them down.
The government will.
Okay, so after this exchange, Gibbs has something he wanted to say.
Yeah. Oh, well, y'all go ahead. Are y'all done?
I mean, all I'm saying is everything you just said, none of it has anything to do with what I just said, which is just the same way that they can give an individual money and then take it back. They can also give Sally Mae money and then take it back. It's no different. It really isn't. Both are private parties.
It is
the
very
law
different
treats it the
underneath the eyes
same
of the
exact
law.
way. No, the law sees it the same way. It's money
No,
from
it
the
does
government
not.
to a private party that it dispersed that it did not have the authority to
law does
disperse, and
not
so they
see
can take
money
it
the
back.
same way as it sees a loan. It does
Gibbs,
not.
what you got?
No. The
Okay,
loan
all right, yeah,
forgiveness
yeah, all right,
process
all right,
is
all right,
a
I'm jumping.
disbursement of money process.
Yeah, I'm jumping in here. All right, like this isn't really directly to Jeb, but really the rest of y'all. Like y'all don't get it, do y'all? Like y'all just have. What the fuck are we talking about right now? Like y'all are talking about student loan like forgiveness, like all right, come on. You don't get why she lost, do you? Like this is it's so crazy. I have been telling you why y'all were gonna lose. I told you why the Latinos were gonna switch. I told you why African Americans were gonna vote for Trump. I told you why all these other people. No one listens to me. It's so fucking simple. You walk outside and you go, these fuckers are lying to me every single day. And then when they go, hey, I'm dating a Latina. She gaslights me every day, and then I see at the grocery store the government doing the same tactics that my wife is doing. Oh shit! You don't think they're gonna put 2 and 2 together? Like, give me a break. Give me a break. This is why y'all lost, because y'all been lied to. They go, oh, economy's good. And then, well, is it really good when we have all-time high credit card debt? We have housing problems. We got the 15-year high homelessness. We got 21.7% inflation. Then y'all sit here and talk about the border, and y'all are talking about Haitian immigrants. That's 100,000 people. Yeah, that's a lot of people. Let me tell you, that's not a large number of people compared to what we have here on the border. We have an infrastructure problem. There isn't. We tell you these are problems, and y'all go, nah, dismiss them. You dismiss them, and people are tired of being dismissed. They're tired of being told you're too stupid, you're too ignorant to understand, you don't know about economics, you don't know about what's going on in your own home, and we told you every single time, and guess what? Those people showed up to vote, and then y'all's people didn't. It's really that simple.
So we lost because the Latina girl at the grocery store?
Well, if you couldn't follow,
unironically,
then
if you
I know why you voted for Kamala.
if you expand on that, kinda yeah. You guys lost the Latina girl at the grocery store. That is pretty much what happened in this election. You guys lost normal fucking people by lying to them all the time. That's kind of what he's pointing out.
You can see it. It was majorly when you look at the stats. It was the elites that were voting for Kamala. It wasn't. It was not the workers. The Democrats lost the workers, and somehow the Republicans became the workers' party.
No, it's not somehow, some way. Like, I've been calling this for 8 years. Like, the Democrats are trending into being the conservative party, and the Republicans are trending into the reactionary party. They are actually mobilizing grassroots across the board because a lot of people don't want the institutions that they have anymore.
I would argue it started in 1995 with NAFTA.
I don't know if it started with NAFTA, but it definitely started in 2004 when you could see it where like Democrats started losing rural voters. Like when you started seeing that, like that was a huge change.
NAFTA was a big part of it for the Rust Belt, and if you see, like that's what they were fighting for, the Rust Belt, and Trump took it. The tariffs were a policy to win votes in the Rust Belt, and it worked.
But he didn't just take the Rust Belt. He took everything. He took everything. Everywhere. Massive wins. We're going to have a Republican House. We're going to have a Republican Senate. Hey, and guess what? We're soon about to have an even more Republican Supreme
Texas
Court.
You guys are going to follow me. He's got an RX next to his name, but like the Rust Belt, like
I mean, Texas wasn't a question. We got all the Rust Belt. We got the most of the 90% of the Sun Belt. Like this was a referendum on the left and the policies, and it was rejected by the American population because they're sick of being lied to.
Well, it was rejected by the left. It was 14 million or something like that Biden voters that didn't vote for Kamala.
I think we do have to have a conversation on the left about tariffs and why they were popular. And maybe that all of them are good, but it's not just as easy as like, well, if we make things that we get cheaper, then we'll get cheap stuff, and it doesn't really work like that. The companies just keep the money and they don't care, and then they put all their jobs in a different country.
I don't think that people were sick of being lied to. I think people were sick of being told a certain set of lies and preferred a different set of lies instead.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it.
I don't know, because I think the real issue was a complete lack of vision on one party's side, and them using a fake version of the other side's vision to compete against it. And then once those people looked at the other side and saw them literally saying, we don't support not even one of the major policies that the Democrats are really trying to pin us on, people were just like, oh, well, I guess I don't need to vote then because they're not actually going to do that. Or right. I can't trust whether they're going to do it because the Democrats told me 3 things that they're going to do that they definitely said they're not going to do, and nobody's supporting them doing on their side. So,
without a doubt, all those
I'm not going to vote for them, but I'm not going to vote for you.
No, it's just this elitist dismissiveness on top of that. Like I'd be like, oh, they'd be like Trin de Agua's not a problem, and then I would literally turn on the news. This happened 2 weeks ago. Turn on the news. 16 people were arrested from Trin de Agua in an apartment complex here in San Antonio.
Just a handful of apartment complexes.
People in Dallas. essayed and beat the shit out of some lady, and they were in Trinity. And it's like, this is just in the last week, 2 weeks, and then they're like, oh, this is not a problem. You don't know. You're insane, Gibbs. Like, I can't believe anybody would think like you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then sure enough,
a handful
millions of people came out and done it.
Just a handful.
You're just making this. You're insane, Gibbs. Nobody cares. Like, and I kept telling, and I told Lethe this on a bunch of panels.
Did you see that interview?
Y'all talking about only left issues. I was like, why don't we talk about a right issue or something? And I would bring it up, and he would even try to get me in on some of these. And like, y'all would just like wholesale be like, this is not an issue. And I'm like, this is what the right is talking about. And y'all would be like, no, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. This is
literally why I need to retire out of politics, because there's a level where like I get the frustrations of why people voted against Democrats. Like I can understand most of that. I can communicate most of that. But when it comes to the facts, I'm gonna be real. Even with the lies and the fucking like distortions, the Dems know their shit better than fucking Republicans do, and it pisses me off. Like, okay, cool. Immigration sucks in Texas. I can totally get that. I can totally vibe with that. But like the difference between talking to Gibbs and talking to Jeb Tan is just night and day. Jeb Tan knows his shit. Gibbs, you're a fucking crazy wackadoo. And then like I'm glad that you're right. Like, congratulations. I'll own up to it, right? But like I don't fucking trust you with literally like a bottle of water. Like I just don't, man. Like, congratulations.
You shouldn't trust anybody. You shouldn't trust anybody. That's your first problem.
Well, then why don't I just like destroy all of you and just take all your shit then? Like,
I mean, that's a good question. Why don't you think about that? Ponder the meaning of life.
I mean, I have. My general level is like, if I don't trust people, if I don't extend a level of like graciousness and, you know, a level where it's like, hey, you know, I can work with you, then I have absolutely no reason to, you know, treat you as anything other than an enemy. I'm just not wired that fucking way anymore. Like, I used to be that way. It didn't get me anything. I'm a lot happier now not being an angry cunt.
Shut the fuck up. No, you're not.
Oh, all right. Well, anyway, Joe Lewis, great to see you, buddy.
No,
unfortunately,
we talking some shit? You talking some shit?
A little bit of shit.
I'm
airing out some grievances.
A little bit.
Yeah, like I'm airing out some grievances. Like I totally can buy most of the arguments that that Jeb Tan and even Gibbs are giving out, because it's like, yeah, I even told like the Democrats, like, y'all are lying to yourselves. But like I just bought into the anti-Trump narrative, and like Kamala not being Trump was enough for me. It wasn't enough for the rest of or for, you know, a lot of people that are my peers. And I can respect that. I can get it. It's a human thing. Hey, my wallet fucking hurts and I don't appreciate what you're doing, so you might want to try something else. All right, cool. I get that. Just the level, it's like, oh, hey, we're going to vote for the sore loser who's been nothing but bitch and moan for the last 4 years. That's a rough sell for me. It really is. So, like, I need to quit. I need to put this shit away because I care too much in the ways that my fellow citizens don't. And I can't rectify that. So, Gibbs, Jeb, congratulations. I hope you're very happy. And I hope that these next 4 years are actually kind of awesome. Because there is some levels where I get to take some W's home personally. But on the other side of that, it's like, I'm kind of tired of just everyone who's a shitbag being the guy who gets elected.
Fuck all
And
that. I need Gibbs to step on a Lego.
I swear to God, I swear to God, the weakness of the Ancoids. We had to deal with this shit from fucking 2010, the first election that I actually voted in. 2010, I voted for the Liberal Democrats. Okay, hands up. Not the best party, but whatever, right? And they betrayed me and went into coalition with the Conservatives in order to form a government. And from that point onwards, every single election went Conservative up until the most recent one last year. So almost my entire adult life, we have lost every single major vote. Brexit, the proportional representation referendum, right? And every single fucking election. And you lose two and you're like copping out. Like, I don't know, bro. Like,
okay.
Yeah, some of us are built different.
Restate for the record that for the person that I have voted for president, this is now the third time that I've lost in a row. And there's
but you said the first one's understandable.
You gotta vote better, man. You gotta pick the winner next time.
Well, okay, like I'm gonna be a little.
Listen to your wiser people, you know.
I'm well. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be conceited here.
Is voting for
a minute.
president?
Shut the fuck up! Like, goddamn it.
Is voting for president supposed to be voting for the right one or voting for the one that you think is going to do the best? Like,
yeah, like
just because you voted for the president that was on the minority,
don't give him a response.
You're still voting for whoever you think is going to do the best. You're not trying to guess which one's going to win.
I was joking. I voted Chase
I am totally fine with being part of the minority side. What I'm getting at is largely that, and I'm gonna be conceited on this one, and I'm just gonna embrace my elitism. When it comes down to it, it's really weird that everything that I care about in the previous election is now what the people care about in this election. Because in 2020, I was super pissed at the Democrats, and I'm like, hey, these people should not be anywhere near power. And now that's the argument that I'm hearing from, like, the General Electric. I'm like, where the fuck have you people been the last 4 years? Like, why are the Democrats not getting crushed in 20? Why are they not getting crushed in 2022? Like, my inflation was 10% in 2022. Like, if there's any reason to send these people packing, let's go. But no, it's not that. It's now. And it's like, guys, my gas, shut the fuck up, Sprout. Like, seriously, dude. You've interrupted me every time I've opened my fucking mouth. I will mute you before I fucking leave. I'm not asking a question. I'm making a statement. Shut the fuck up.
You did ask a question.
I don't want your goddamn question. All right?
Oh
so
my
look.
God. I don't want to ask you a question. You fucking asked a question.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
Anyway, like, I don't even remember where the fuck I was going at this point.
You're asking a question, I think.
I don't remember asking a question or being on that line. Like, I'm going to embrace my conceited side for a minute. That's all I'm getting at is just, like, it's really weird how I'm like, hey, guys, I care about inflation in 2022 when it's at 10%, but the Dems can win and Republicans don't show up to that party. But now somehow inflation is like your big issue when my gas is $2.60 a fucking gallon. My milk now is like down to like $2.50 a gallon, maybe $3 depending on your day. Eggs are reasonably affordable. Like, rent sucks. I give you that. But my power bill's fine. My water bill's fine. Like 90% of this shit is so much better than what it was just a year ago. And now people are like, oh, well, the inflation's real. It's like, I'm going to laugh my fucking ass off that if we get to 2026 and everyone's like, oh, hey, remember that Trump guy? Yeah, he really was an asshole. Why did we elect him back in and we fucking slammed the House? Like, I'm just going to laugh. That's all I'm going to be able to do. Now, if that doesn't happen...
Is the House definitely Republican now?
Not definitely.
It's looking like, what is it, a 70% chance they at least get to 19? Right?
Yeah.
It's leading, I think. I don't know that is it 70% chance now?
I know it's pretty high chance that it was going to go Republican. I was just wondering whether that was like, signed, sealed, delivered at this point.
Hoping.
So, like, I'm just kind of interested if you all follow the trend line because, like, the trend line is whatever I cared about in the last election, that's what happens now. So, if everyone comes to 26 and they're like, oh yeah, Trump and his mean tweets, and he's constantly sputtering dumb shit off because he's 80. I'm going to laugh because that's exactly where we're heading. So,
well, Republicans ain't anything now, are they? Because they're
Republicans
all like,
aren't, but like,
"Holy
let's
fuck,
be
he's
real.
like the God Emperor. They're all
The
in the
people
fucking
who
cult.
matter here are the moderates, people who are willing to switch their vote, show up consistently, and actually go, hey, you know what? I voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and I voted for Donald Trump in 24. I'm the opposite side of that, so clearly people don't need to be talking to me. But let me know who the fuck is, because I can't find a goddamn one of these people. I can find people who, you know, I've done the opposite. But I can't find anybody who's actually said, oh, I voted for Biden in 20, and then I voted for Trump in 24. I can't find a single person who's done that.
No, they just stayed home. They just didn't want to vote because what the fuck were they voting for? I still don't know.
And that's where there's a level where I can... There's a level where I can get that, but there's also another level where, like, clearly by the exit poll data, like, people are moving. Like, whites moved. Black dudes and Hispanic dudes moved. Like, it's not a lot, but it did happen, right?
Or the white people.
I mean,
or the
every
white
group
people on the other
moved.
side just stayed home. Like,
that's the thing, is it's the movement happened on a percentage basis. It wasn't that all these people, other than in the Latino community, in most voting groups, Trump gained ground on a percentage basis. It's not that a bunch of those people came out and voted for him that didn't last time. It's that people in those groups that were going to vote the other way just stayed the fuck home because, again, they had no fucking clue what they were going to vote for. Like with Biden, it was clear. It's like we're gonna try to get Obamacare back to full health. We're gonna try to get student loans forgiven, and we're gonna try to pass like a really hefty infrastructure bill. With Kamala, it's you have maybe enough policy to make one kind of okay throw money at him bill.
It was I'm not Trump. Like literally, that was the pitch.
Yeah,
and I get it. That was the pitch. That was very clear.
That should be enough, but like it's not.
It was enough for me, but
it
it was.
I don't think it should be enough. I think people should have a clear idea of what the next 4 years are going to look like when they vote for somebody.
Here's why that didn't work. All the people that were going to vote because they don't want Trump were already going to vote. You weren't convincing anybody new by just complaining about Trump.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. What I mean is just that, like, yeah, I don't think it's a good fucking campaign strategy. That's not what I mean by that should be enough. I just mean that, like, given the choice between these two fucking people, not being Trump should be enough. You know?
Well, for a lot of people, they don't. Their character concerns are on the list, but for them, they're looking at what is most likely to directly affect me, and that's why the left lost normal people when they also lost progressives, because progressives are out here like, I want
what's
free
gonna affect
healthcare.
them? Well, if you like, you know, this is why dudes turned out in fucking record numbers, but women didn't as much, right? What's gonna affect them? Well, if you're a member of basically any fucking minority group, Trump's presidency is gonna fuck you over, right? Yeah, black, Latino, whatever, right? And the Latino vote went fucking up, right?
Yeah, because he didn't fuck over Latinos or black people.
Mostly.
Tony Hinchcliffe is feeling good. You know that man sleeping easy.
Latino males,
Bruh.
right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
young
off.
Latino males, it ain't fucking women voting for Trump because these things do affect people. We don't like as a leftist. I don't find Trump distasteful because he's a nasty man. I don't want to go near him. I find him fucking distasteful because of the harm that he wants to do to other people, the harm that his presidency is going to do to other people, right? And those are the people. So yeah, men are the fucking problem, right?
True.
Men are the fucking problem.
That is the statement that makes me go, all right, I'm not sad that Trump won.
Black men,
literally
Latino men, and especially young white men
What's up, Joe?
came out in fucking droves for Trump. Okay,
You know,
hey,
goddamn.
you're an ex. You talk a lot about the black experience in America. Why so many young black men voting for Trump? What the fuck's going on there?
I have no idea. It was a small percentage. I'll say that much.
It was small, but it was like bigger than last time. So
yeah, it's enough where it's why I was talking about way back when I said for that whole journalist thing when he went to the National Black Journalists and did the interview, I thought it was gonna be a net good for him because he's not trying to like sway high percentages of these groups of people. He's just trying to like, you know, nudge a little bit here, nudge a little bit there, and then that's just enough to pull forth where people should be alarmed.
Make them laugh,
listen,
make them laugh, make them laugh. That's
listen,
always
I'm so happy
move.
we get to See these tears though. These tears are so good. These
Oh yeah.
these lib tears are so funny because it's like I'm in the position personally where you got to mentally prepare yourself for that, like the possibility of it going the other way, so it doesn't like surprise you when you wake up in the morning. But
Sure.
man, oh man, these libs were confident. They were really confident over this woman.
I
And
really
this is
thought they
like,
were gonna
Well,
fucking win.
I
Yeah,
don't know how they were I don't know how. I don't know where they're getting this confidence from, though. I don't.
They're elitist and they sniff their own farts. Like
We have-
no, seriously,
we have 4
like
years
I
to
have
fix
no
this.
problem with the elitism. I'm an elitist too. Like I get along with these people for a reason. What I have a problem with is that I have told them this for the better part of the last 8 years. They sniff their own farts and it's annoying.
Well,
there
we
was
got 4
a
years to fix that.
there was a point in the AP reporting
It's
where when things were getting really south around 11 o'clock, one of the headlines was "Here come the celebs." I was just like, oh no, it's
And-
bad when they start saying like celebs are showing up in spots because they be getting them crazy phone calls. Paul Rudd, we need you over here. Stat. It's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, so like being a celebrity in like by virtue of being a celebrity, being like attached to the DNC, it's got to be a really shitty existence. Like, it's got to be so shitty. Hey, they signed up for it.
Beyonce wasn't even happy. Like it was clear Beyonce wasn't happy when she was doing that crap.
All the power to her.
Hey, Perry.
But the question is like, because the question
Ty
is,
Bears
what
is
good
about to
is an
leave.
endorsement if the person giving the endorsement isn't happy when they're doing it?
It's a pleasure to chat with you all. I genuinely like most of you, and for one reason or another. But like I am doing a little bit of soul searching, not on the general level. It's like, oh hey, like the country disagreed with me. That's not like the part that bothers me. It's it literally is just why is it like when I care about something, the rest of the country doesn't, and then whenever the country gets around to that, I'm already moved on to the next fucking thing. Like that bothers me a lot.
Every
It
single
really
one of
does.
us that were on this side are doing that same soul searching right now. So I wish you luck in that.
Well, I'm not a Democrat, right? Like I'm actually like
Yeah.
at least a center right guy. Like here's the part.
Gibbs is dying.
Yeah, Gibbs is dying, but like I'll concede this to Gibbs. Like I'm never going to be welcome in Republican circles ever again, and I'll accept that. That's fine because like they
That's right.
didn't
Gibbs
meet.
is on its way to the same position.
That's not even
There's
true.
plenty of people
Republic-
calling Gibbs a fucking rhino.
We're an open door, man. You'll be welcome. It's just like it doesn't seem like you want Republican policies, and that's okay.
The problem is the Republican Party's moved so far to the fucking right. It's full of a bunch of absolute frothing fucking.
We moved to the left. We are cool with gay marriage. We don't want to ban abortion federally.
On the other side of that too. Like
I'm not here for this. I'm not going to do this.
Normal people like you and Gibbs. Like,
I was a Bernie bro, and I hear
that.
that's not even leftist anymore. I hear AOC's a moderate now, so I don't even know.
I generally just kind of get lost in like, oh hey, the Overton window conversation, because like I don't even care about that conversation anymore. What it really comes down to me is like, all right, like are we actually gonna finish building up all the roads and fixing all the things, or are we just gonna like memes and dreams of shit?
Well, I mean, that's paid. That's done. That's planned and paid for. I mean, as far as
I want
federal
another
funding,
I want another $1 trillion. Like let's go.
That's a
Like,
very conservative Republican policy right there.
yeah, no experts even on the Democrat side are saying we need $1 trillion for roads and bridges. You're the only one wanting that.
It's like that's like not even like somewhat right leaning.
You're gonna make the roads out of fucking velvet.
Like I don't know how like building roads and bridges, which is something that right wing states are doing at like record numbers, somehow isn't a right wing policy. Like this is the part where I completely get fucking lost.
You're talking about federal funding with so the federal funds, they don't have city planners in the federal government deciding where to put new roads. So all they can do is provide funding for existing projects, and there are not $1 trillion worth of existing road or bridge projects. It's just not a policy anyone is asking for right now. Like the city planners and state planners and local planners they don't have enough projects to use the $1 trillion for roads and bridges.
I would love to have this chat with you sometime, but I am out of time. But my final closing thoughts is like, let me go over this just real quick off the top of my head. There is over 40 high priority corridors in the United States for roads that need to be upgraded or built up to interstate standards that have not been fucking hardly even touched. And these are dated back to 1992. Like, we're not doing this shit out of just state funding. Republicans are kicking ass on that. Go Reps. But I would like some federal push to actually finish out these jobs. We're not even fucking close. At minimum, it's $100 billion. We've got a whole bunch of other shit that still needs fixed, whether it be the electrical grid, whether it be the fucking plumbing, whether it be like 90% of this bullshit. Like, it's all 80 years old or more. It's like, we prorated it. It's great. But then you get into like the nuclear facilities, all of them are going to need to be decommed in the next 20 years. So yeah, like, give me $1 trillion to fix up the fucking nukes.
Well, yeah, nuclear energy
We'd better commission new nuclear before we start.
No.
Yes, like Nader, take this over for me. But like, there's money that needs to be spent not only to fix the old shit, but to actually bring the next generation of stuff online.
Sure,
there's no reason we can't have it.
We need to do some upgrades. We need to do upgrades to enable license extensions on the existing facilities. In the meantime, while we are pursuing net new nuclear with new technologies such as small modular and or molten salt reactors.
Anyway,
dude, hey, shout out to the only other person other than I think ICO that has mentioned MSRs. Thank you.
I'm more in favor of the giga-reactors, but like, I'd rather have reactors
I'm
than
more
none.
in favor of the smaller reactors, more distributed. Yeah. It gives a distributed grid, more resiliency.
Well, and we can ship. They can fit on a shipping container. So if we can produce those cheaply,
on an
we
assembly line.
It's theoretical though. Like, it's not. We've not validated that it's safe.
MSRs aren't.
Sure, that's not theoretical. You have small modular reactors. Hundreds of them in use. They're called U.S. naval reactors. They're the same thing.
Right, and they're not sitting on the back of a fucking truck. They're cooled through the ocean, right?
No. We're not talking about having them portable. Making them on an assembly line that can then be shipped to site and built. Economy of scale. You build a lot of these things all the same, and they become a lot less expensive. Every reactor currently is a bespoke reactor that is built specifically for the facility it is in and is different. If you go get a reactor operator's license, it is for the facility that you train at and for that facility only, because it's different than the plant one state away.
Yeah, molten salt reactors, the drawbacks.
Can you turn your gain down a little, buddy?
I was quiet on a different stream. Is it too loud? Yeah.
The drawbacks of MSRs are largely the maintenance challenges of them. But I'm not saying we should rely entirely on MSRs. MSRs can be used solely for waste disposal, because the thing about an MSR, because of the increased heat, you can actually fuel an MSR solely with waste from an actual nuclear reactor, and by doing so, you reduce the radioactive half-life of it by about 90%.
It's not
going to sleep.
To do with heat. It has to do with the neutron flux.
Getting sleepy.
This is legitimately the last point. I'm sorry.
Slow spectrum.
You guys were talking about MSRs, and I was thinking about literally SMRs, which are small modular reactors. So like, that's why I was not on the same page. I love you all. There's some technical conversations I would love to have with some of you. Nader, I'm sure we can go round and round about this, but I need to go cope a little bit. And there's also just another level where it's like, hey, I also just need to be like, I'm grumpy as fuck about some of this shit. So
what flavor copium do you have?
I don't know, but I'm gonna need all the crowns at this point. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Great American victory, Tybe. Enjoy it.
Listen, you can't be like some of these people, though.
Hey, look,
that's Canadian, though.
For real, like, if Trump makes this where, like, hey, my wallet's doing good and I don't have to worry about some dumbass liberal shit for quite a while, like, I'll count my victories where it happens. Like, I'm not gonna push back against that shit.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be fine. You're just
you're a white man, Type. Trump doesn't want to kill you.
Jeb put it there.
Exactly. You're not going to be targeted by the administration. You're probably going to be okay.
I know. Isn't it a pleasure to be an actual swing voter where
Nader sounds fine.
Everyone's trying to kiss your ass? It's kind of wonderful. Anyway,
it's just it's
enjoy
really
your
quiet.
coke
It's just
tie.
the gain's high.
Yeah, Jeb and Gibbs, enjoy your victory. I hope you guys are very, very happy, and we'll see how it goes.
Gibbs is happy. I thought Gibbs
Oh, he's
didn't want
definitely
Trump to win.
happy.
Until he steps on that
Yeah.
Lego.
He's definitely happy.
Until he steps on that
Yeah.
Lego.
This motherfucker's just been like over here, like, yeah.
I don't know
number
if you
one.
cannot be
I,
happy, honestly. I don't know if you have it in
I
you.
gotta be honest. I think Ty is the blackest man on this panel with the 3-hour pullout. What is this pullout game, dog? What is wrong with you?
True.
You
I
said you were
love you
leaving
too much, and I
so
can't
long
leave you,
ago.
okay? Yeah,
That's why
true.
he's pro-choice, dude.
Anyway, y'all have a good one.
I appreciate
Pull
like
out
something
already. I
that's kind
can't
of
take
interesting.
anymore.
Something that's kind of interesting about this election. I don't know where it fits in the overall narrative because all these libs are going to be coping for weeks. Is that the Libertarian Party seems to be trending out the door pretty heavily. The Green Party was able to match their vote count from 2016 and exceed that before the count's even done, at least in my state.
Oh, yeah, because the
And
Libertarian Party's a fucking joke. And also,
yeah,
it's internally fucking splintered. Like, the difference between the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire and, like, other places, like, there's no coherency, you know?
yeah, it's interesting because, like,
fascist. I mean,
because
Yeah,
normally,
exactly.
like when COVID hit, like that gets rid of, like, if you want third parties to be out of existence, you want a health crisis every year, every 4 years. You just want to just pump it out so people do mail-in ballots and shit, and their conventions are in the summer. Because that's really what it did. Like all the conventions were in the summer, and then the Green Party was like, we're gonna do ours on Zoom, and everyone's like, okay, whatever. and then
Why?
the election came about, and they had like 16,000 in my state, and I think there were still like, I think it was what 6%. 0.6% of the vote. And now it looks like they're going to be comfortably back in the 1%, which is a good building block for them.
And
but
notably, they're the leading third party, which is not typically the case.
Yeah, and usually like that should, like, again, I think it's like COVID should have yeeted all these third parties out of existence. So I think this election was pretty refreshing to see that in some cases, we'll put the Libertarian Party in a different basket because they're kind of cooked. That like the ones that have some level of substance seem to be on the right direction in terms of reconfiguration. But yeah, I'm still mad at Cornel West. But that's a whole other thing.
I do think
Cornel West ran an embarrassing campaign, dude. Like, I love Cornel West, don't get me wrong. But, like, his propensity to just get involved with the most deranged fucking people throughout the course of his campaign, just because they're, like, ostensibly leftists when they're really just...
We should call them campaigns, though.
Lunatics. Sorry?
Because he did switch parties 3 times.
Listen, he gave us Jill Stein,
Who
okay?
doesn't, dude? Who
It's
doesn't?
just, I don't know, man.
That motherfucker gave us Jill Stein, and he gets off the hook for that. And like everybody's gonna let him off the hook, and I don't want him to get left off the hook because it's like, if all he had to do was stay the course and just accept that you can be different than like the party establishment and still run a campaign, but nobody told him that, so then he bounced, and then we just get Jill Stein again. And I guess it worked out, but fuck, like, damn. That could have been so cool.
We do have an announcement from our president-elect, though.
Hello, the Leaky Water Kai and the community. I am Donald J. Trump, and I endorse this stream.
There you go, Leezy. You've got your endorsement.
Well, looks like I'm canceled.
Yeah, you're cooked. But yeah,
Ben.
If he endorsed my stream, I'd give my stream key to someone I didn't like immediately.
everybody here would take a presidential endorsement. Okay, let's not pretend.
I would rather
take
a
no,
presidential endorsement.
No,
I'd rather step on Gibbs's
tell me
Legos.
what I wouldn't do.
Yeah, if
I would
Biden came in,
fucking
he'd be
give up
innocent.
my
I'll take one.
entire branding if that retard said he liked me.
And that's why you're a liberal, because you don't have a capitalist
I'm not actually a
mindset.
liberal, and you know that.
I would
Nope,
take.
you
I
don't
would
have a
take your
capitalist
sides.
mindset. That would just be. That's
I
just
do
bad
have a
math.
capitalist mindset.
Bad
No, I do have a
math.
capitalist
What president
mindset,
it
but I
is,
also
if
have
they
morals.
came in to endorse me, I'd fucking take it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Listen, that
He's
doesn't
the
mean
only.
I'm not
To
endorsing
be
him.
clear, he's the
endorsing
only
me.
one that.
me.
That's
He
the
likes
only
what I
one
have to
that's
say.
not true for. Yeah, I don't want. Yeah, that's a problem. I don't want the endorsement from that guy.
He's
You know what I'm
endorsing
saying?
me.
Like-
I'm not endorsing him.
Like, if
you know?
there were modern day slave owners, I'm not saying he'd endorse them, but I am saying they'd all endorse him, right? It says something about
not
him.
really, because the two most prolific online racists in the world right now both voted Democrat this year, I believe. Or Nick Fuentes probably just didn't vote, but Richard Spencer absolutely full-throatedly endorsed Kamala.
Of course he did. He's been on that fucking trip for ages, but like,
Yeah.
he's also just like fallen completely out of favor with the movement. Like nobody fucking likes him or gives a fuck what he has to say generally. Richard Spencer is not a big figure within the fucking alt-right at the moment.
Yeah, well, Nick Fuentes is like the leader of his little cult, and he's now trying to fucking turn tail and
fucking
pretend that
celebrating
he's
the
Trump.
shit out of the Trump.
Yeah,
victory,
right after he said, "No one vote for Trump. No one vote for Republicans. They're not racist or misogynist enough. You can't vote for them." And then none of them vote for once we prove we don't fucking need you losers. In fact, we won the election because they realized we aren't you. Now all of a sudden he wants to pretend like he was fucking leading the charge for Trump, and I'm like, you're insane, bro.
Hey, but what he did have, Trump did have on his side was two of the most powerful racists.
Who?
Right? Fucking.
Yeah, you look
Elon
like a
Musk and
child
Joe
star
Rogan,
who never
right?
got discovered.
Who?
Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, right?
Neither of them are racist. What are we talking about?
What are you fucking? Are you fucking insane, dude? Are you
Wait,
fucking
Jeb.
insane? Mr. Got out of the car. It was like Planet of the Apes. Isn't fucking racist? Eat
No.
shit. Okay.
Well, to be
No,
clear,
no.
he said a movie theater full of black people was like Planet of the Apes. If we're gonna
Yeah.
quote him, let's quote him right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking.
What are you guys talking about?
You can
fucking
make a
Elon
black
Musk has
joke
spent-
without
Joe
being
Rogan.
Elon Musk
racist.
has spent the last.
That's
Oh, Joe
that's how
Rogan.
Joe Rogan
months
described
promoting-
attending a
promoting
film in
neo-Nazis and
Philadelphia.
making comments about
And it
fucking
was
black people
hilarious.
breeding and shit.
I
You're
listen.
just a fucking idiot if you don't think either of these people are racist.
Joe Rogan is not at all racist. He is.
Joe Rogan's off.
If anything, he is anti-racist. The dude platforms minorities all the time. Like, come
He
on.
platformed
Eat my
Many
shit
of
and
them have
hang,
on my show, so
drooling
therefore I am
fucking
not
asylum.
racist.
Your best example of him being racist is a joke he made about loud black people in a movie theater. He's not racist if that's the best you got. I'm sorry.
Wait, why are they loud now?
That's
Yeah,
the
he didn't
joke he
even-
was making when he said
No,
it
he-
was like
no, he
Planet of the
wasn't.
Apes in there. No, yes, that's what people don't understand about that joke. If you listen to the whole clip, he's saying it was fucking
You just
loud and
don't get
rowdy.
it, guys. You just don't get it. It
Yeah,
wasn't
because
racist
Planet of the
to
Apes
say
is
a
a
black
notoriously
people
loud
say a
movie.
black
That
people
checks
like
out,
Planet
Jeb.
of the Apes.
That is deep.
You just don't
Yes.
understand. Actually, you just
I
don't.
mean, you
understand.
just
You don't
clearly he
understand
didn't
the
listen to
levels
the
that
joke
Joe
that he
Rogan
made.
was
Yes,
working on at
if
the time,
you're
the
best,
layers of his comedy.
this is what.
okay?
Listen, and
If
Democrats.
Have you
Democrats-
ever considered? No,
Democrats-
this is real. This is real.
Democrats lost
anti-racist.
this issue 2 weeks ago, dude. If your best
One
example
person
that someone is
attacked Jeb at a
racist
time.
is a comedian making a joke, that person is probably not racist.
Jeb,
I'm
have
just
you ever
telling you.
considered being one of those people that poses for the 14-year-old for To Catch a Predator? Because you got the face of a toddler and the body of an adult. It's kind of weird.
Wouldn't they want the body of a child in that case?
No, you could just peek out from behind like a counter. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I have no idea what's
I
happening.
don't think.
so
I don't think
so
Jeb
anyway,
wants to get
You
involved
look like
in
a
any
child
shows
star
like
who
that.
just never
Yeah.
got discovered.
If
It might be a little worrying for him.
if
to
your
be that
best
close.
if your best evidence that someone is racist is that they made a racial joke, they're not racist. I'm sorry. It's
Sorry,
just
it's
not.
like-
Okay,
It's
okay, that's a
making a
faulty
little bit of-
conclusion.
Like to pit a little
No,
bit on
no,
what that
no,
joke
it's
was.
not. If you don't have
No, it
anything
is,
better
it
than
is.
they made
You're
a
making
joke,
a racist joke,
they're
not a
not
racist
racist.
thing to do.
That doesn't
No.
mean they're not
Making a
racist. That's not how that works,
thing
Jeb.
to do.
that's not what I didn't say the fact that they made a racist joke makes them not racist. I said the fact that they've not done
That's
anything
not what I
worse
said.
than that makes them not
No,
racist.
no. I don't know what they do in their fucking. I don't thought police. They could be racist.
I know what he
Crazy
I know
for
what he
just
does
doing
in
their-
a lot of parts
Yo,
of his
you
life.
know,
He platforms minorities
Joe Rogan's not a
constantly.
racist. You know what all of his
Yes.
thoughts are. That's retarded.
All of his actions point to someone who is not racist. He
You know who
platforms
else
minorities
platforms
constantly.
minorities
I have people on my show and make money off of them, but they're
No.
black,
He
so
has
therefore I am not
people at his
racist.
comedy club that he platforms and takes risks on. He's had people open for him. His best friend is fucking Dave Chappelle.
Yeah,
are you
I don't
talking
like
about?
money,
Best
but
friends?
people
What are you
know that.
talking about?
Damn,
What do you
Dave
mean, what am I
Chappelle.
talking about?
Dude, you're just.
They're not
completely
best
out of touch,
friends.
aren't you?
That's what I'm saying.
Are you serious?
Yes.
One of his closest comedian friends is Dave Chappelle. They did a tour together because they were such long, close friends recently. He's talked about it countless times. How close
Okay,
of friends he and Dave Chappelle are.
Did you say that they're close friends, or did you say he is his best friend?
Okay, he's one of his best friends. I'm so sorry. If your best friend's not black, you're racist. My bad.
That's what I'm
You know
saying.
what? You know
You're
what?
the
He's
one
got
that's
some black-
using it
Name
as
an
an example.
actually racially discriminatory thing Joe Rogan has done.
Listen, brother.
Don't everybody know it won?
No. When you can find the part where I
told
said
that
he is
racist joke.
definitively
That was the
racist,
thing
you
he
can hold
did.
my feet to that fire. But I didn't say that.
Someone here is
I
saying
said,
he's definitively
no,
racist. So
no.
shut the fuck up and stop interrupting her while she makes her point. Because she said
Okay,
he is
you're
racist.
retarded. You're retarded.
She said if you don't think they're
I
racist,
engaged
you're
directly
insane.
with what you said.
Para, she said if you don't think these guys are racist, you're insane. What
I don't know
the
if you
fuck
know
do
this,
you
but
think
I don't
the
have
point
to
is
be.
she's making?
I don't have to be in one-to-one agreement with Viv. I don't know if you know this.
Then don't argue with my counterpoint to her that she has no
come
proof
on.
he's racist.
Come on, Para. You know you're in
agree
one-to-one
with me.
agreement
That's
with her.
fucking crazy.
You agree with me
No,
then.
Jeb.
There is
No,
no
Jeb.
proof
I
that Joe
disagreed
Rogan
with
is
something
racist.
else you said, fuck ass, and I can do
Okay.
that.
So
If
there's
you
no
say
proof,
other
so
dumb
you
shit,
agree that
I'm gonna
there's
say
no
that
proof
shit
that Joe
was
Rogan is
dumb.
racist. Cool. So you agree there's no proof Joe Rogan is racist anywhere. He's
There's
not done a single
mild
discriminatory thing in public.
There's mild proof.
What is mild
Because it wasn't
proof?
a joke. You say it like it was a joke in a stand-up set. It wasn't. It was
It was
something.
a joke on his
wait,
funny podcast where he was talking with comedians. What do you mean?
It was a story he told. It wasn't a joke. It was a story he told on his podcast.
Yes. Stories are never jokes. Oh my god.
Is
Have
that
you
what I'm
ever
saying?
watched a Joe Rogan set? Half of his jokes are stories.
Is that most comedians are that way, Jeb? You're not saying anything
Yeah,
about
so saying it's a story does not differentiate it from a joke. Like you're trying to make it
absolutely
sound
does.
like it
It
does.
yes,
no, it
because when
doesn't.
you-
Because a
yes,
story
it
can
does.
still be a
Yes,
joke.
it does, Jeb, because when you go up on a stage to do a stand-up comedy set, there is a preconceived notion that the things you say are all going to be said in jest in some capacity. However, if I sit down to have a conversation with you to record a podcast, and we're a couple of retards, and we do happen to be chucklefucks, there's no presumption that everything I'm saying is going to be a joke, and that's the plausible deniability
There's a
that allows
presumption
them to do
that
the
that
shit.
was a joke
I was
because
speaking.
he said
I was
multiple
speaking,
times it was a
motherfucker.
joke,
That's
and
the
they were
plausible
all
deniability.
laughing while they
That's
said
the
it.
plausible deniability that allows him to get away with the shit that he shouldn't, and other people as well, not just Joe.
You're saying he shouldn't be able to get away with making that joke on his podcast, is what you're saying now.
Did I say that?
Yes, you said that's what
No,
allows
I
him to get away
absolutely
with the
didn't.
shit that he shouldn't. And you're
Okay.
using this as an example.
Did I say that this is an example?
Oh my god. Yeah,
I'd
whatever.
really
You're,
like
you're
you to actually
doghousing me.
listen to what I'm
You're
saying.
doghousing me. You're making a point and then immediately running away from that point when I pin you on the example that you used.
Why are
No,
we talking about
I
Joe
didn't
Rogan?
use that example.
Joe Rogan's
You're kind of
not a
retarded. You're not
racist.
listening.
Period. Point blank.
He
Joe Rogan is a
he
racist.
did use slurs though. Let's just
Joe Rogan is a racist. He's been consistently
Everybody's racist,
fucking
so I mean,
racist.
let's
He
just
started
go
off-
with
He's not been consistently racist. You couldn't point out one thing other than Planet of the Apes.
I will
Motherfucker,
say-
I have not been able to,
Everybody's
I've not been able to
racist.
get a fucking
Everybody.
word in since you asked that
That's what it
question,
is.
have I?
I will
I
say
gave
he
it,
has
dude. There was
to the
a
history
10
of using
second
slurs.
fucking. There was like
Yes,
a
he
10
does,
second
Joe.
fucking silence.
The
I've
social
never
media
seen
time
Jeb
is
have
a
so much trouble
terrible
following
idea.
basic lines of
Because
logic.
one, I was fucking gobsmacked because we were talking about a racist thing that he had done, right?
That's
Told
not a
racist
racist
joke.
thing. He made a joke.
So I was like, wait,
racist.
what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? For one, right? That's deranged. That's stupid. Clearly telling a racist joke is a racist thing that Joe
No,
Rogan has done.
It's not
right?
a racist
No?
thing to do. To make a
No,
racial joke is not
It's not
racist.
racist to tell.
You're
a
branding
racist
it
joke.
racist. No, it's not a racist joke.
Wait,
It's not a
really
racist joke.
Wait,
Hold on,
really
Jeff.
really simply. Is it racist to tell a racist joke?
Yes, but that was not a racist joke.
Okay. Is telling a racist joke a thing you do?
What? A thing I do?
Is telling a racist joke a thing that someone has to do? They have to do the thing, right? It's an
Sure.
action that they take. Is it an action they
Yes.
take? Okay. Therefore, if Joe Rogan tell racist joke, Joe Rogan do something racist.
But he didn't
That is
tell a
thing
racist
Joe Rogan
joke.
do.
A
Yes,
joke
he
that is
fucking did.
racial does not mean it's racist. Racism is
If you're calling
discriminate
black
is
people- if you're
using
calling
something
black
that
people-
hold on.
If you're
Stop.
calling black people apes, that's racist. He's also repeatedly
No,
said the
not
N-word.
not
He
always.
also defended
No.
the fucking and right up till now he was
When you-
defending the fucking the Puerto Rico joke as being fucking.
Because that was a good
environmentally
joke. It was
conscious or
also not
whatever.
racist. It wasn't even about people. It was about a geographical region. It wasn't even about human beings.
Actual,
He didn't say once that Puerto Ricans are trash. Not one time. He didn't say anything about a race in that joke. There was zero. It wasn't even a racial joke. At least Joe Rogan's joke was a racial joke. This was a geographical joke at worst.
You are breaking, Jeb. You good?
I am breaking because you guys are fucking retarded.
This is why people. This is why you voted Trump, I guess. Because you're
I
just a
didn't
fucking
even
idiot
vote
and
Trump.
can't see
You guys are so
racism when it's
retarded. You
right in
don't
front of
even
your face.
know what I've said 30 million times. I didn't vote Trump.
Oh, okay, yeah, you
Right,
fucking
but out of an
wrote in
abundance of
General
privilege,
Mattis or
not
some
And
shit.
guess what? Joe Rogan's still not fucking racist, and you still can't point out actual racist things he's done.
And
like use
True.
racial slurs.
I mean,
You use racial slurs, bro, and you're not racist.
Wait, when have you heard me use a racial slur? Ever? Like,
You've used
unironically,
the-
when have you heard
I'm pretty
that?
sure you've used
Am I saying
N-word
the N-word?
in
You're saying the
Discords that
fucking
we're
N-word
both
right
in
here.
before.
No, I haven't.
You've never used the N-word in a Discord.
You know who disagree? You know
I don't
who
know when the
disagrees
last time
with
I
you?
used the N-word was.
Wait. You know who disagrees
What is
with
happening?
you? You know who disagrees with you that Joe Rogan?
So he
used
just
the
said,
N-word
I know when the
racist?
last time I used the N-word was. So he did use the N-word.
Yeah,
Are you racist?
I'm 36, motherfucker. You can grow.
Oh my god. You have used the N-word. I know multiple people who've said you've used the N-word in VCs multiple times. I still don't think you're racist.
Okay, I don't care what you think if I'm racist or not. Cool.
I mean, I
Thanks.
think he was racist when he did that. Yeah, that was a racist fucking thing to do.
Probably not. No, it's not always racist just to use a racial slur.
Okay. I just don't know. If you're using it as a slur, then it is, yeah.
Yes, if you are using it as a slur,
I'll
it's
give a
racist.
fucking I'll give a
course.
pass to people who are like talking about the slur in an academic sense, right? That's about as far as I'll go.
Or
But any
joking
other
about it,
usage
but
of
like,
it,
yes,
yeah, it's-
obviously, if you're hatefully like attacking somebody with a racial slur, that is obviously racist. But
I'm not
just
gonna
the mere
argue with you.
utterance,
I'm not gonna repeat the fucking N-word debate of fucking 6 years ago. Okay, I can't be fucked with that shit. It was traumatic enough then. All right. So
Traumatic,
on
dude,
top of
come
on
on.
top of these very obviously racist things that every normal person thinks is racist, but you're gonna do some
no,
mental
not everybody
gymnastics
thinks
to
making
avoid
racial jokes
thinking
is
are
racist. You're wrong. Most people disagree with you on that.
Regardless,
Most people disagree with you on that.
Look,
yes,
we
you,
just elected
you
Trump.
and the
How you-
entire fucking,
it doesn't
you
matter.
and the entire group of young Republicans on your fucking campus and your local groipers. None of them think
normal
it's racist. I
fucking
understand.
human beings. I live in
Like-
Southern California, dude. Like, where do you think I live? People do not think
But
racial jokes
regardless-
are all racist. It's just not true.
But regardless,
Racial jokes don't necessarily.
Joe Rogan
qualify
has
as
used his
racist.
platform
They
over the
can
last
be in
fucking
bad taste
the most
without
important
being racist.
Whoa.
Yes.
Aviator. The most important way in which Joe Rogan is racist is that he's used his platform over the last few years in the advancement of some really fucking racist people. From Gavin McInnes to Andy No to fucking God knows who else. He has consistently helped push forward racist ideologies, right? And racist campaigns. Yeah.
Okay, is he also then like a civil rights hero because he's platformed people who have those opinions, or does he only get credit for the bad ones but not the good ones? Or is he a racist civil rights
It's about
hero?
the narratives that he promotes overall, and the disproportionate platforming of these people, the referring to them as his friends,
Do
the
not think
credence that he gives.
he does not
them.
disproportionately represent racists. That is just not true.
Yes, he does.
He overwhelmingly
How many times has he had Gavin
platforms
McInnes on his show?
non-racist.
How many times has he had Gavin McInnes
I think
on his
like
show?
2 or 3.
How many times has he had Jordan Peterson on his show? How many times has he had
Jordan
Stephen
Peterson is not a
Molyneux on his show?
racist.
Lethe, I have
What's
a
up?
question for you.
Jordan
What's up,
Peterson's not a
Despy?
racist
Jordan
now.
Peterson is
Lethe, I have a
definitely
question
not
for
We're
you.
just going to
racist.
keep adding
Hold
and adding
on
and
a
adding
second.
to the
Despy wants to
list of
ask me a
people you
question.
don't think are racist. What? Because you agree with them? Are they racist? Are they not racist because you
I don't
agree?
agree. I don't agree with Jordan Peterson on a lot of stuff, but he's not racist.
Okay. Can we hold up for a second? Because we're going to end up going round and round on this. What's up,
I
Despy?
can't keep adding people to the list and arguing with you about whether or not they're racist. You're just
I know,
fucking
because I think your
so
threshold is
stupid, dude.
very light. It's a hair trigger on the
Oh,
racism accusation.
Lethe, I got a question.
What's up?
If I were to use the hard
Yeah, 'cause
R,
there are-
how many
yeah, 'cause there
black
are
people
fucking
would I need to
degrees of
platform
racism,
before I would
moron.
not be considered racist anymore?
I don't think there's
It's a
a
good
number.
question.
I don't think there's a number.
Okay,
for that.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, good.
Yeah.
At least we're on the same page then.
Yeah, that kind of
There are
runs it
varying
right there.
degrees of racism, dude. It's not.
What?
It's not a fucking. It's not a fucking. Either you're Hitler or you're fucking or you're Malcolm X. Actually, Malcolm X was a little bit.
No,
racist.
I didn't. I
But, like-
conceded. I said there's a. There's a possibility you're claiming he is just a racist civil rights hero since he's platformed both. I said he could be both if you want him to be, but I want you to full-throatedly make that claim that if he platforms people with a certain opinion, that he is now an ambassador for those opinions. So he must be a civil rights hero and a racist. Is he a racist civil rights hero?
My argument wasn't about platforming.
Your argument was that he disproportionately platformed racists. That was
Right,
your literal argument.
Disproportionately, and pushed their narratives, and was fucking.
Okay, so
and
that
was
is about
cordial
platforming.
with them, right? Yeah.
He's
Joe-
not like close
Joe Rogan
friends
has
with
done
Gavin
more-
McGinnis.
Joe Rogan has done more to advance the causes of racism and misogyny in the United States than almost any fucking white nationalist figure in the movement.
What? Because he had one of those. He had
That's crazy.
Like the former leader of the Proud Boys on his show a few times. He's done more to support racism than Nick Fuentes.
No count Mike Shredder said, isn't Malcolm X a racist civil rights leader? I'm done.
I mean, no, I agree. I agree that you can be one, but he refuses to make that claim.
Viv copped to that. No,
yes,
Here's the question. Here's the question you have to ask.
already.
Are we talking pre-Hodge or post-Hodge Malcolm X?
We're talking
Viv
pre-Hodge.
also already
Okay,
copped
yeah, if we're
to
talking
Malcolm X
pre-Hodge,
being,
yes,
like,
then yes.
racist,
That's
yeah.
why I said I did say Malcolm X was a little bit racist, actually. Though
I
I
mean,
did
violently racist,
correct
but-
myself after saying Malcolm X. But like, you know,
I'm open to the idea if you're willing to concede that he's a civil rights hero, that you would be logically consistent to also call him racist. I don't think he's either.
It's fine. It's fine.
I think he's a
I'm not
podcast host.
This
who
is obviously a
fucking
bad
picks his
faith
nose
engagement,
and
and I
laughs.
can't be fucked
There
with it. Can we
you
move on?
go, Biv.
Yeah, it's bad faith because you don't agree with me after I make my baseless claims and refuse to support them.
It's bad faith because you're trying to create this this supposed equivalence where it doesn't exist.
What equivalence?
And you know it as well. You're just trolling.
What have I what equivalence did I make? I don't even know if that's an appropriate term for anything I've said. What did I equivocate? What two things did I make equal here?
Him having a civil quote unquote civil rights hero on, and him having fucking racists on.
Wait, how would that not be? How would that not be
two
equal?
We already talked about that. We talked about the disproportionality, the fucking support for them, the credence.
You're
to their
right. He's
ideas, and so on.
disproportionately had more civil rights leaders on than he has racists.
No, he hasn't. Anyway, let's move on
He has.
because you're clearly fucking not worth.
Can you demonstrate that, Jeb? Because I don't know if that's actually true. I'm not saying it's wrong,
is
but
true.
Is it true?
I would consider Bernie Wrights an ambassador for civil or Bernie Wrights.
Bernie Wrights
Sanders,
is a crazy person. What's
Bernie
his
Wrights
name?
should be his
Where's
new
he at?
nickname. Bernie Wrights Sanders, civil rights leader. He's had him on. He's had
Bernie
numerous.
Sanders-
What about Bernie Lefts? Has he had Bernie Lefts on?
No, not him.
Bernie Sanders, Cornel West.
Unfortunately.
Who else?
I don't remember the names of a lot of them. He's had legit academic, like racial justice academics, African studies academics on his show before. I think
African studies or African American.
He even
studies?
had BLM leaders on. He had that ex-felon who was like a prison civil rights leader who ended up getting arrested for chopped up bodies in his fridge like a week later. That guy was also a prisoner's civil rights leader. Like he's had civil rights. He's gotten in trouble and gotten flack for having civil rights leaders on because of what they ended up being involved with afterward. He's had way more of them.
Way more of them.
Notice he doesn't know the name of any of those guys, though.
Literally, the only
The problem is-
person I would say is probably racist that he's had on multiple times is Gavin McGinnis, and Milo Yiannopoulos he had on a couple times way back.
And
as
Milo
well.
Yiannopoulos.
Yeah, those are the two.
And Andy.
We've
No.
already
Can't
named
forget
like
Andy No.
double the amount of civil rights.
Can't forget
proponents.
Andy No, right? Can't forget Andy No.
I do
said
not
Jordan
think Andy No is
wasn't
a racist.
so we won't add him to the. You don't think Andy No's a racist?
No.
Okay, I mean,
See the
you know,
bars.
you
The
can-
Andy
bar
No
is
is like anti. He's like
you can just eat my shit in
anti-Antifa.
hair, I guess. Like
He's
I
like
just don't know how to fucking
anti-Antifa.
talk
Andy
to
No
you.
is not racist.
Oh my fucking god!
Ugh.
You're just deranged. You're just a fucking idiot.
I mean, you can give me evidence where you
you know
can
any-
say I'm deranged, and you're choosing one, so I'm assuming you don't have the other. Oh, dead silence on that one. Yup. The answer is yes.
I didn't
You do
hear
not
what you-
have
I didn't hear what
evidence,
you
so you're
said.
calling me deranged.
Oh, okay. No, because every time I bring up a new person, I don't want to have another hour's fucking conversation.
It's not hours. If you just showed me
person
something
who
that
is
they
very
did was
obviously
actually
fucking
racist.
No, because you won't agree that basically racist things are fucking racist. Like
No, I
telling
don't think
racist
jokes
jokes
are
that
racist.
denigrate
No.
black people. I'm
I don't
sorry,
think
if you
jokes
joke
are
about
racist.
black people being apes, you're fucking racist. That's a racist fucking thing to
No,
do.
I disagree
And if
because
you-
you're
if
making
you
fun
can't
of
agree-
stereotypes in a lot of
if
those
you
cases.
can't agree, if you can't agree with that basic fucking premise, I can't have a conversation with you about who's racist because you literally do not think
people don't
racist things are racist.
That's not extremely racist. Even if it was racist, it would be on the very non-extreme scale of racism. That would be extreme racism telling a joke. That's ridiculous.
Again, it wasn't told in the context of a joke as a stand-up set or something like that.
You don't need to be on a fucking stand-up set to be joking, you fucking retard. That is the stupidest threshold. You dumb fuck.
Shut up. No, Jeb. No, I'm not gonna shut up. I'm not gonna shut up. I'm not dumb and I'm not wrong. It doesn't.
It's not a stand-up set, so it's not a joke.
No, Jeb. That's not what I'm saying. No, that's retarded. Your interpretation of what I'm saying is functionally fucking disabled. What I am saying is the context actually matters.
Functionally disabled.
Yes. The context was a joke. He was laughing.
Jeb,
they were laughing.
Where and how you tell a joke matters.
Yes, he said it on his show with his guest who was joking with him.
Okay,
the context
and it wasn't
all
funny.
Worked in his
About
favor.
black people being apes. Yeah.
Yes, it was a joke. It was funny. It was on his show.
It wasn't
funny. Black people as apes.
You don't think it was funny. That's fine. That doesn't make it not a joke. You don't get to decide. I didn't think it was funny, so it's not a joke.
Actually, no. Comedians already agree that that's how this works. If the joke doesn't land, you're just a dickhead. Yeah, that is how it works.
If the joke doesn't land, they don't say it's not a joke, dipshit. Nobody agrees with you on that.
No, but if the joke doesn't land, you're just a dickhead. Yeah, it's a bad joke, and you're a dickhead.
They don't say you're a racist, you fucking retard. They say
I think you should watch some of the spiciest comedians on the earth comment on this because they disagree with you entirely.
No, you're wrong. They do not think you're racist.
If you flub the fucking joke,
land.
You're the asshole. If you flub the fucking joke, you're the asshole.
Do they say you're the racist? They say you're racist for doing that.
You could be. It depends on the type of joke.
That's not what they say, though. They've never said you're racist if the joke doesn't land.
It's implied in them saying if the joke doesn't land, you're the asshole.
It's not implied. It's not implied.
It is.
Black people apes. It's still racist, whether the joke lands or not.
That's not true. You can make jokes about stereotypes that are making fun of the stereotype, and not.
No, is that what Joe was doing?
That is not what he was fucking doing.
Oh my god. You don't know that, Vivian or Para, because neither of you listened to it because you missed vital information on it.
I have
so you didn't watch the clip. You've probably listened to the 4-second clip of him just saying the Planet of the Apes line and not the conversation.
I've watched a significant portion of that conversation, more than enough to have all the context I need. He is not making a joke about the fucking cultural idiosyncrasy of comparing black people to apes. That's not what he's doing. He's comparing black people to apes. That's what he's doing.
He's not.
Yes,
he is not at large comparing black people to apes.
You're an idiot.
Well, those black
You're an idiot and you're an apologist for racism.
Sure.
Yeah.
You've not demonstrated that these people are actually racist in a tangible way.
I have demonstrated.
You've even conceded he platforms more civil rights leaders than racists.
On a level that every normal, civilized,
not every normal person thinks racial jokes are racist. Not every person agrees that racial jokes are racist.
Trevor Noah disagrees with you, Jeb. Unfortunately, Trevor Noah disagrees with you.
Yes, late night talk show hosts don't agree with me.
When did I say all racial jokes are racist?
Well, when you talk like when you
said making racial jokes are racist, and you basically classified any joke about a race is racist.
No, I never said that, Jeb.
You did.
No,
you said
I didn't.
anytime you would compare black people to apes, it is a racist joke fundamentally.
Anytime you call black people apes, that's a fucking racist joke.
Then I disagree. That's disagree. It could be a racial joke, but it could be making fun of the stereotype and not making fun of the race.
Well,
then you're not making a joke about black people being apes, are you?
I mean, this was that, but nobody here actually watched the full clip of the joke.
I did.
I did. I watched the whole. I watched the whole.
Then you watched the whole fucking.
Then you guys are fucking wrong because he was very clearly not saying aren't all black people monkeys, buddy. Ha 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 ha. He very clearly was not making.
I watched the whole thing, and you whatever. You're clearly very invested in trying to prove that Joe Rogan's not a racist, and I understand.
Like, I mean, he's not racist.
Daddy, and
making racial jokes is not racist.
But he's actually just a piece of shit. I'm sorry.
He's
Your
just
podcast
not.
daddy is a piece of shit.
But this is why Democrats will continue to lose elections, because all they do is try to expand the bounds of who is deplorable.
I'm not a
who's
Democrat, you
racist,
dumb
and who is
fuck. The
no,
Democrats are
but
fucking
you're
idiots.
but you're contributing to all these people who are Democrats who are agreeing with you right now.
I don't
They're all
care
agreeing
what
that
the
joke
fucking
is
Democrats are
racist and makes you
Democrats.
racist.
Seriously.
What?
Joe,
I'm
are you a
British.
Democrat? I don't think you're a Democrat.
Era is a Democrat.
I'm actually
You're
not.
expanding
Again,
the fucking definition.
Yeah.
of
You
Democrat.
literally
Are
voted
you a
Democrat
Democrat?
this election. You are
that
practically a
doesn't make
Democrat.
me okay.
Yes,
then
you are. Someone who
then
supports
we've
Democrats
completely changed
is
the
only
fucking
useful
definition of what a Democrat is.
If you support Democrats for this election, you are a Democrat. You are a Democrat voter.
Okay, then you have no party identity and should shut the fuck up because you
I
did
do
nothing.
have a party identity. I am Republican, 90%.
Really? Did you
my
vote for
ballot
Donald Trump
is
this election?
Republican.
That's right. Suck my dick.
Not specifically one Republican, but 90% of my ballot was Republican.
Well, you didn't get that full 10%, you know.
Yeah,
that
so
extra
apparently
10
I
that you
fail
needed,
his
so.
purity test. If you support largely the Democrats, you are a Democrat. That is
It's
how
like
that
purity
works.
tests around here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he gets,
okay.
like,
It's not
you're
a
like the
bad
most
thing.
right-wing person on
But
the
stop
panel,
running
apart
from
this
it.
idiot.
Why is it? It's not a slur.
Hey,
Democrat
hey,
is just a party label.
Dumb.
Gibbs,
Oh,
you're the most
you're so
right-wing
dumb.
person on the panel,
Telling a
apart from this
racial
idiot.
joke makes you racist, but voting for Democrats on your whole ballot does not make you a
what I said.
Democrat.
Don't
So
keep
you
don't
need to
keep
watch the
fucking
VOD
fighting me.
and you need to
Why are
watch
you
the
being
VOD if you
so
think I've
fucking
said he's
dishonest?
racist even once.
Why are you being
Oh.
so fucking dishonest? I never said
I'm not
making a
being
racist joke makes
dishonest.
you
It
racist.
was
You
your claim.
are. I literally
That
never
was not
said
my
he was
claim. I
racist,
never
but you
made
are.
that fucking claim. You can joke about race in a way that's not racist.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to see where your line is.
So I
on
never,
that.
fucking, I never
Yes.
fucking said that, did I?
Yeah. I think
I never
jokes
said that,
just
did I?
generally, inherently do not reflect the honest opinions of the person making them, and that's why they're jokes.
I don't give a fuck. They reflect.
You also
something
said the
about
Puerto
person.
Rico joke was racist when no mentions of race were made in the joke. So you think even
again,
non-racial
you're a
jokes
fucking
are
idiot.
racist? Oh, I'm an idiot, but I'm right? Because he didn't mention Puerto Rican people once in that joke. He just didn't.
He didn't
Yes or
fucking
no?
need to. The implication was there.
Oh, yes, exactly. So you don't even need to bring up race for a joke to be racist. As I said, even making a racial joke would be racist to you, because even making a non-racial joke is racist to you.
Clearly not. I've just said.
Clearly it is.
can
You
make
just said
racial
that
jokes
Puerto Rico
aren't
joke was racist.
Okay. I mean, if you want to just fucking put words in my mouth and thoughts in my head,
You
and
just
to
said the
argue with
Puerto
an
Rico
absolute
joke was
straw man,
racist,
that
did
is
you not?
Completely up to you.
Okay,
That's
is the Puerto
completely
Rico
up to you.
joke that he made racist? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Did he mention the Puerto Rican race in that joke? Yes or no?
Puerto Ricans are a race now.
Yes.
Are they?
They are a race of people, yes.
Puerto
Not a
Ricans are a
geographic
race.
location.
Puerto Rican is a race, yes.
It's not a geographic location. What?
Puerto
I just
Rican.
don't.
No.
I just
Puerto
don't
Rico. Puerto
I just
Rico
don't
is a
think-
geographical location. Puerto Rican is not a geographic location.
It's just
But
an
Tony
ethnic group.
Hinchcliffe
It's an
did
ethnic
not
group.
say
It's whatever. It's all right.
Sure,
The Puerto
whatever.
Rican
Ethnic
Islands is not a
Okay,
geographic
this is
location.
Puerto
It's an
Rico.
ethnic-
Oh
This
my
is
God,
awful.
bro!
This is
Did he
so
mention
See,
human
here's the
beings
thing.
in
I don't
the
think you
joke
actually
at
understand
all?
what race even is.
Oh my
I'm
God!
gonna self-harm.
Did he mention?
How the fuck am I
people
supposed to have a
at all?
conversation with you?
Okay.
How am I supposed
Div,
to have a
you're
conversation with you
running
about whether
so
or not
hard.
somebody's racist when you don't
Did he mention
understand
a
what
race,
is?
an ethnicity, a nationality? Did he mention any of the above in that joke?
Look, clearly we
No,
all
no,
know
stop.
that
Make her
that-
answer
that
the
Does he need to?
question.
One is
Does he need
the
to?
race. Okay.
Did Tony
Does he need
mention? Did Tony mention an ethnicity, a race, or a
Does
nationality?
he
in that
need
joke?
to?
For it to
In
be
order to make
racist?
implications about
Yes.
the
But
people?
he did
No,
he did
he
say
doesn't.
what is it?
I can think of a dozen fucking jokes right now that would be incredibly fucking racist without mentioning a race.
Was
Idos
his
couldn't
one of
be more
them?
correct. To
What
prove himself
mechanism did his joke make any implications about Puerto Rican people?
He was
Because of
making
the trash
implications about
of
Puerto Rico.
implication.
Not Puerto Rican people.
Right.
So it's not racist.
He was making the implications about the Puerto Rican people through the use of Puerto Rico. Right?
No, not about Puerto Rican people. I'm
No?
telling you, you need to
You
demonstrate
don't think
that.
you don't think when he's playing to that fucking audience that he's talking about Puerto Rican people?
No. And I
No.
know that you have no idea. It's
He's
been
just
a
like,
joke.
he's just
because
like, he's just
it's
like,
since
hey,
been
you
explained
bunch
by
of
people who
a
talked to him
bunch
and
of
wrote the
people
joke
who are
with him.
incredibly racist towards fucking Latino people. I just want to tell you about how Puerto Rico is actually kind of garbage. What
New
I'm
York
actually saying
is
that
literally
I'm
the biggest
like,
Puerto Rican
I'm kind of
population of any
environmentally
rally
conscious.
Trump has
We
done.
need to
All right,
clear it up a
this
little
is
bit.
definitely circling the drain
Puerto
because we're
Rican
gonna keep.
people have been oppressed for too long. We need to give more money to Puerto Rico
I don't
so
think
that they can
there's-
clear it up.
So again,
think
you
there's going to
failed
be
to
a concession.
you failed to demonstrate
That's what
any
he was saying.
racism
No,
in
no,
the
no, no.
joke.
That's what he was saying, though, right?
He was saying Puerto Rico has a trash problem,
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
which it
Puerto Rico's
does.
a terrible. Puerto Rico's a terrible fucking
No,
place.
no, no.
We
It
need to give more
literally
money to
has
them
a
to clear it up.
trash problem. It literally has a
I'm
trash
infrastructure
problem.
I'm just so
Yeah,
done.
these
You're a
That
fucking
causes
idiot.
that causes a stockpile of trash on the island. That was the joke he was making.
I think if
Not
you got
about
lobotomized,
people.
you'd get smarter.
Vivian, you're just wrong. You've not demonstrated one thing that you've claimed. He
Okay,
made no
let's move-
claims
let's
about
move on.
people. He made a trash
move on.
joke about an island with a trash problem.
Let's move on.
You're just
this
wrong.
is-
I know
it is-
you want to
no,
run
no,
from
I understand,
it.
I
'Cause you
understand it's
took the
very. I
fattest
understand
L of
it's
all
very
time.
complex.
Because you
I
just
understand
want,
it's
it's
very
not
complex.
complex. It's very
I understand
simple.
it's going way
Rico
over
has
your
a
head.
trash problem, and he made a
look,
trash joke
at
about
some
it
point-
because it's an
at some
island
point-
with a trash problem.
Okay.
So he called
I'll
it a
let you finish,
trash
you can let me
island.
go after, yeah?
It's that simple.
All right, one last exchange on this
Okay,
because, like,
at
I'm over
some
this.
point-
We're not going to get anywhere.
At some point, okay, in the future, if you give me like, I don't know, $20 for my time, okay, I'll go over the very basic definition of what the word race means, and then we might actually be able to have future conversations after.
Or you
it,
could just
right?
demonstrate how that joke was racist, but you've failed to.
I can't because you don't know what a race is.
Sure.
Like, how
So
am I supposed to
anyway,
demonstrate
when he
racism
doesn't
when you don't
bring
know what
a
race
race, an ethnicity, or a nationality up in the joke,
I think
and it
we're-
is still
we're done.
somehow
We've been
written.
done for a while,
Vivian,
and I think we're
excuse
done.
me, I'm not done. Could you quiet down
Okay.
because he said each of us go, and then we're done with the topic. So go ahead and
Alright,
pipe
alright.
down,
You carry
and
on.
I'm going to go.
Yeah, you
So-
carry on.
If the standard for a racist joke does not even include race being
crazy
mentioned in
comms.
the joke, your concept that making a racist joke makes someone racist basically blankets anyone who's ever made a racial joke as a racist. Because even people who have made jokes that aren't racial at all are still branded as racist for those jokes. And it's
They are
retarded.
racial.
And it's the reason,
are
stop, and it's
racial.
the reason why
It can be racial.
the
without
Democrats in the
mentioning
United
the race.
States lose normal people is because they're so quick to bite on dumb bullshit like this to paint people as enemies.
It can be
and then
racial
normal...
without mentioning
Vivian,
the race.
honey, please. I'm
If I say
speaking.
hook-nosed people control the banks, I never said Jews, did I? So
He
it
never
clearly
said
can't be
people in.
racist.
Good thing you didn't say people in general. You dumb fuck. Stop interrupting. me.
It's just an example. It's an example of how
This-
you can
He
be racist
talked-
This
without
is
okay.
the
mentioning
argument
the race.
that will never end. So
You're
we're
an
gonna
actual
call. We're
idiot.
gonna call it on that. So I want to figure
fucking
out how much of voting third party
Yeah.
and people's apathy toward voting actually played a role in 10 million missing votes.
Well, the results indicate that it wasn't very many people voting third party. Most
Yeah,
people went and
third party
voted
was really
for Trump.
underrepresented. this
Yeah,
year.
it was not good time for third parties. People came out in droves to vote for Trump, and people didn't show up for Kamala. It's really that simple. The people, we told y'all what the issues were. Y'all didn't believe them. Y'all called us insane. It had nothing to do with third parties. Y'all y'all kept harping the same ones, and we kept going. We have concerns. Like, it wasn't even that, like, this is the thing. It wasn't even that, like, we told y'all something y'all disagreed with. We would bring up concerns we had, and y'all would just, haha, funny. Oh, ha, you're crazy. That's dumb. And, eventually, if you do that to a large enough portion of the population for a long enough time, it's going to come back and bite you. That's what happened here. Like, you got all these people that came out and voted in droves because they just kept getting dismissed. I don't think it had
I'm a
anything to do
little
with third parties.
confused because I don't think the goal for third parties were necessarily to win this election. I think it's naive to think third parties had a chance of winning in the first place.
Well, sure.
But when you look at the numbers, the Green Party and the Socialism and Liberation Party clearly had a successful campaign. They were able to not only recoup the loss that they did for the pandemic, but they doubled their size in each of the metrics. Like the Green Party, I think, had 3 times as many voters from 2020 to 2024, and the Socialism Party doubled. That's a good thing for them. We can't like attribute like a small step and then be like, oh, it was so bad for them. It's like a movement of third party voters and a movement away from the duopoly is going to take some time. I think, yeah, like being able to say that we matched and exceeded our vote total before COVID is a good thing for them, you know?
Here's the problem I'm having with this is, right, like, this is the thing, is I keep talking about these local issues, right? People go vote for what's happening to them, right? And so everybody's like, oh, it's the vibes. It's what. No, people are going to go vote because they're at least self-aware. They know, hey, this is bad. This is going on. You know, y'all can say that maybe they're not indicative of greater trends or some shit, but people know. And they're going, this stuff is bad. This is happening to me. But, like, I come on here and I go, oh, this event happened with Trinidad, Iowa. Dismissed. But if you're an average person, this keeps happening to you, you're going to get mad. You're going to go vote. And they're like, or same thing with the economy. People are like, oh, the jobs report says we're good. Oh, it says nobody's working. Only 3% of people working 2 jobs. Well, then you look at the numbers. It's like, oh, well, only a second job that if you is included if you worked another 40 hours. Who's working 2 40-hour-a-week jobs normally if you got kids and shit? Nobody. They're doing like a side gig like DoorDash or something, and then their main job like 50 hours. Like there's like these little hybrid things. It's just so ridiculous how they like would cut around it, and people just knew. And they knew, and they went and voted on it. And like people need to have a come to Jesus moment. It's not all these little things because people vote on the local level. They don't vote on like what I mean. He was doing a deep depth analysis of third parties, and that's probably fair. But like if we look at the other stuff, like y'all are getting all of the nitty gritty stuff that doesn't even matter, like to the average person. And I don't know. That's why y'all lost. You lost the average man.
I think there's
I'm
something.
so confused.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's third parties. I really don't. But I do think it is a division. I think MAGA has been a very good cult. They all have the same goal in mind.
Have a good night, Dusty.
That's
Thanks for coming
it.
through.
You just called it a cult. You just dismissed a massive portion. You literally just go, they're a cult.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
somehow,
you just dismissed them. Like all
somehow a Republican cult got Democrats not to vote.
No, I mean MAGA
How's
is
that
definitely a
work?
cult, but that doesn't mean you have to dismiss them. Like there are very good reasons why people start fucking joining the MAGA cult, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I remember I was trying to talk to you a little bit about that and why you felt like you didn't really belong with today's Democratic Party. And to be honest, some of the messages of what they did try to do in this election wasn't really in tune. It was more trying to, I guess this would be like a dry run to see if they're trying to see if the moderate left can by itself beat the juggernaut, and it failed.
I'm a little confused. I'll go for it, Fal. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm saying like this whole like trying to just grab the moderates and not really worry about the left and thinking, well, we can get a couple like some of the Republican some of the people that fell off Trump were on his team last time but weren't will come aboard ours, and that'll be enough to win the election. And there was like this sort of like I see it mainly online, but I see it like different communities and even policy wise. There's a huge divide between like the far left and the moderate left and where they're voting for, and we don't have a central figure like a Trump where we're all just trying to get that person to win, and we're all trying to do our own different things and all blaming each other when we lose. And it's somehow 4 years from now we're going to have to figure out a way to actually work together, or we're just going to lose again.
I think one aspect of this is that we have to just take 2020 and throw it in the trash. Like, we're not going to see the 72% voter turnout like we saw in 2020. Like, not for nothing, there's some things within that I think is beneficial. I think the expansion of early in-person voting might be something that's beneficial for not only Republicans but Democrats, because broadly it seemed like, based from what I was reading, the Republicans seem to gravitate pretty heavily towards early in-person voting. So that's something that I think long-term could be expanded. But not for nothing, like, Donald Trump can hailed with this win, but it's still not matching his numbers in 2020, which is why I think it's this, like, that election in terms of like the numbers and the aggregate of what happened is going to be discarded. At the end of the day, I think Donald Trump successfully positioned himself to be the party of the poor and the party of working class people. Unfortunately, it's a lie. And all the Harris campaign had to really do was, first off, not bring her forth to be a candidate in the first place, but that's a totally different conversation. But generally, like, reveal how Donald Trump is the liar here, but then also articulate actual policy that could help people in the face of that lie. I don't think they really did that.
Well, not only that, I think there's a certain part of the party where they weren't even trying to reach out and trying to talk to you.
Oh yeah.
And I know I tried to a little bit, but I mean, I'm just some idiot in chat, you know. How much sway do I really have? It would have been nice if, like, there were more people that were part of the Harris side of things, where, like, they wanted to talk to you and, like, try to understand where you're coming from and try to work together. But it's just, nobody seems interested in doing that on the left. Where the right, they could all be hive mind. Whatever Trump says, they're doing.
I think there's some truth, right? Where I think the rhetoric should have been, Donald Trump has a very high likelihood of winning this election. He has a very high likelihood of obfuscating polls in such a way where it makes it seem like the race is close when it might turn out that it's not. So we need to make sure that in the places where we have Democrats that can actually sway the election, that it's the utmost importance that you show up. It's the utmost importance that you cast your vote. I don't even like these people like that. But the idea that, like, they wanted to campaign on abortion was absolutely foolish. I think there's a silver lining in that, where Democrats now see that using abortion as a policy that you campaign on does not win. It wins at the local level of ballot initiatives, which it clearly was this past weekend or yesterday. But when it comes to attaching...
I think they saw Ohio, which was a red state, go blue, you know, as far as fighting against that abortion ban. Sure. And I said, well, yeah, if they can actually swing a red territory into the blue, maybe we could push an election that way. But it just didn't really play out that way.
Are y'all listening? I literally just told you, like, the major reason, and y'all go hive mind and dismissed everything I said. And
yeah, it just didn't make sense.
That is hilarious. Well, maybe you should have followed along better.
I tried my hardest.
It's insane. It's just insane. You'll just go hive mind and dismiss it, and, like, it's.
So,
do you realize that hey, hold on, time out. Just because Trump won an election doesn't mean that you have all the answers. You get that, right?
Listen, I've been preaching for a while, and then I do have all the answers.
Yeah, hold on. It's not about whether Trump won the election. It is that Gibbs, to an extent, and me to an even greater extent, we kind of guessed most of the flow of how this election was going to go, and notably, our predictions were very far from.
It still doesn't mean you have the answers, Jim. That's not how it works.
It means we're probably closer to having those answers than you, though. When you were wildly wrong about it. I mean, and we are more tapped in with the community. Do I have the answers? We are more tapped into the community, to the communities that affected this election.
I think that's necessarily true. The thing I predicted the same. I live in the UK. I'm definitely not more tapped in.
No. Yeah, but me and Gibbs are, because we're tapped into the winning side, and what people have been talking about this entire time.
Yeah, my point is like, we'll bring up issues and stuff, and it's out of hand dismissed. And it's like if y'all
you can dismiss it.
Say y'all have an issue. I come in here and I debate issues of the left like once all the time, all these panels. It's always left-leaning panels, and that's fine. Maybe more conservatives need to step up and lead panels. Oh, well. But it's always in hostile territory. We talk about all those issues. But then whenever I have had a chance to bring up issues conservatives talk about, y'all literally just dismiss. And y'all did that now. And y'all is so condescending. That's what y'all think y'all been dismissing.
who
I
hurt
haven't-
you,
I've only
bro?
been on
Yeah,
Twitter with you
y'all did this to the
once.
nation.
Yo,
It's
who
just
hurt
satisfying.
you?
I'm just telling you, it's not like
I've
I'm
only been on the
mad.
stream with
I'm
you
telling
once
you, and now
today,
you're
but
like
I
trying to
will
make
tell
fun
you
of me
why
for telling you why you lost, like why they
personally
lost. I know
dismiss
Joe not
you.
specifically,
It's
but
because I've
the
heard
rest
you
y'all.
say nothing but border policy, border policy, border policy. But then when the left wanted to pass border policy, you're like, well, I don't like that border policy.
It was dog
because of
shit.
the
The border
Trump
policy was
thing
dog shit.
that wants to hold back border
Respectfully,
policy.
Gibbs, like I hate to break it to you, but the border's not that big of an issue.
Well,
I mean,
it's
do
an issue
you
down
support?
here.
I mean, let me ask you: do you support the expansion of prisons? Jeb and I talked about this, so I want to see what he's.
It depends if it
Yeah, and I'll
benefits me
bite the bullet.
financially.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if it benefits me financially, I would.
Okay, do you think any candidate right now, including Donald Trump, could support? Like, do you think if Republicans came about and had a bill about the expansion of immigrant detention centers, you think that's a winning election strategy?
I mean, it seems like part of it was because he's running on building the wall and deporting people.
That's
So,
not. That's not my question. Is
well, yeah, I mean,
prisons.
it sounds like immigrant centers. That sounds like a type of prison. So, yeah,
I'm talking detention centers for migrants. Do you think Republicans could campaign on that?
I mean, they just did basically.
They did not campaign on detention centers.
Hey, Joe.
And that's what drives me crazy about the right too, because you talk so much about immigration. Do you realize? Have you ever looked up how much it would cost?
Part of the
have you ever looked up how much it would cost to deport the entire minority, the entire like immigrant population out of the country?
Trump ain't deporting shit.
You don't want to. You want to be the party that's against spending, but you want to spend billions of dollars just because. Oh well, this guy's got a job. He's making $5 an hour, and it's inconvenient to me. So we got to spend billions of dollars to make sure he can't make a living.
I don't know what the hell. Joe, I got a question for you.
I'm ready.
Give me maybe 2 to 3 issues that establishment centrist Democrats would have to acquiesce to the further left, whatever you label them, progressive, leftist, whatever, that would produce a loyal base that would turn out every election the way the GOP was able to coalition with evangelicals. Because with the Democrats, it seems like every election there's like a push and pull versus having like a loyal faction of the further left that's going to show up every time, where evangelicals seem pretty firmly entrenched now, voting GOP every time.
I would say housing, jobs, and campaign finance reform. There's particularness in that. I think that a federal jobs guarantee is the way to go politically. I think that's a winning strategy, and there would be no type of. The only type of pushback that you might have are those type of Democrats who are bought and paid for by corporations who explicitly don't want these type of things to come about. But I think generally speaking, a federal jobs guarantee would be something of value that I think Democrats have no reason to not platform or like build a campaign or build a campaign strategy on. I think housing is another one. Within that, I think they had to start getting into the business of detaching some type of arbitrary requirement for the reason why you're going to give people money. Like, I think that the child tax credit is foolish. They should just have child stipends and just advocate child stipends. Like, having child stipends would be, I think, somewhere around the realm of like $44 billion, but they can find the money if they really care about it. And I'm talking specifically about child stipends. I'm talking $500 per month per child. It's the same. It's the child tax credit with less tape. I think for most people, that would be something that people would support. And you don't really necessarily have to make a deep argument about it. You can just be like, look, we understand that people need means to make sure that their children are taken care of, and parents are the best people to make that determination. And we ought to make sure they have the money and the means to do that, and we just stay out of the way from there. And then if you want to really make some like arguments down the road, you can have studies in terms of justification of it, the studies about what the funds were used for, then use that research to craft better policy down the road, you know?
Well, I mean, if you could realistically get a child stipend passed, the GOP might put resistance up to it initially, but once it actually passed, they would never let it go either. So it would be like I think if you could initially get something like that done, it would almost be a forever thing that people.
Well, yeah,
would
you gotta
remember.
like for me, it's like arguing the conditions, right? If the conditions are met in a way that's substantive, then it's gonna like alleviate a lot of the concern because then people will go like, yeah, this child stipend of $500 per month per child significantly helped me. That was why in the conversation, what the fuck is that dude's name? Destiny. I totally forgot. Was talking to that one woman and he was so confused about like, $500 a month wouldn't help you. And then she was like, with 2 kids, no. And I was like, I knew exactly what she was talking about. Like, yeah, like $500 a month for 2 kids it's not that much. Like you're only like in terms of what you could possibly use it for. But 500 per child makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. And then if you really have some resistance to that,
JD Vance. That's what JD Vance pitched and supports.
Yeah,
Okay,
I like
get it done. Yeah, I mean, if, if they would pass it, I would support it.
A sidebar, a little bit. Like the thing that the thing that was really refreshing about JD Vance and the concern that I had for JD Vance was he was the only candidate that decided to talk about families. And then what sucks is that by him being the candidate and the VP to talk about families, he now is positioned as the family candidate. So then he can make that argument and just build his political identity. Because, like, make no mistake, Donald Trump is the placeholder president. It's JD Vance's election and his seat if he wants it. And he's going to be groomed for him to be the next presidential candidate. And he gets to bask in all the wins congressionally. He can be like, I'm the VP. I made sure that Congress was doing good, despite the fact having a majority. I made sure that like things move forward. And like,
you think Trump's up for 25th Amendment and putting JD Vance in before the 4 years are done?
No, I think that like it's reasonable to say that if Donald Trump is in a capacity. If Donald Trump is in a capacity where he cannot properly govern or properly articulate an argument, you're going to see a lot of JD Vance. I think you're going to see a lot of JD Vance making arguments for Trump than Trump actually making arguments in a matter of policy. Like the future of the Republican Party points to JD Vance more than it does Donald Trump, and that should be obvious for most conservatives. If they're being honest,
25th Amendment, it Gibbs is.
But Gibbs is struggling, so I wonder what he's got.
I think it points more to Ron than JD.
Yeah, the idea that I want to come back to that. Thank you. The idea that Trump would ever be a placeholder for anybody, that's very not Trumpy. I don't see that. Because it's just
he's term limited, bro.
It's my brain is hurting from this just like extreme amount.
Hold on. So I gotta make sure you're on record of this. Like
that y'all are making.
That's not an excuse, bro. Like Donald Trump cannot run 4 years from now, so he's going to need a successor. His VP is that successor.
I think Vance is a very likely person. I also think that.
So we agree. What are you talking about?
I agree with that, but I think that
maybe you mistook what he meant by placeholder.
Hold on.
He disrespected Trump.
It's not that. It's not the disrespect to Trump. It's that I disagree with what you're calling a placeholder. Like, if he was going to come in and you think placeholder implies in my mind, and maybe this is just where my issue is, that I'm seeing it as like, oh, okay, he's coming in. I feel like everything Trump does while he's in office is going to be Trumpian. Like Trump, that's what he wants, right? It's not like, oh, he's going to be holding the line down, and they're going to be pushing JD Vance and the Republican Party's agenda. It's not. It's going to be that. It's going to be Trump's like agenda. So I don't see it as a placeholder. I see JD Vance as a continuation. Now I don't know if JD Vance even gets there after his VP run.
He'll get there.
I think DeSantis, and Abbott are making really big.
DeSantis is not going to run. DeSantis has no shot.
Might. I don't know.
DeSantis has no shot.
Popular. He just stopped the marijuana amendment in Florida against Trump.
I think Ron DeSantis has a good shot. I think the primary candidates in the last election caught him a little off guard because I think he expected them to come at him more, and he prepared for debate. But he stayed stagnant with like 11 to 14% support the whole time, and just most notably, man, he represents a swing state that is now a red stronghold and is
he's
like
fucking up Florida big time. But yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, in your opinion,
people that don't think that though.
They have the number one education.
He turned a swing state into basically Republican New York.
Parallax was saying something.
Florida has the #1 education in the country, and he has the #1 gubernatorial approval rating in the country. So, like, I don't like it, but like, we got to call it what it is.
Well, what metrics? Because when you look at the higher education is in like, I want to say it's somewhere in the top 15.
It's not just higher. They have #1 education in the country.
They have the number one education broadly. But when you disaggregate that, my point is higher education's in like 15 or so. But it's not really sure. I have to double check the numbers because like the next review is the end of this coming school year. So I'm not disagreeing with you, by the way. Usually it tends to be when it comes to conservative states that Florida's usually leading the charge on that. But the point that I was trying to make here is that like Donald Trump is a placeholder insofar as he's not going to be the one who's going to articulate the policy. We know this by what he's walk me through how Donald Trump is articulate when it comes to his policy, Gibbs.
When you say placeholder, I think
like you're disagreeing.
Come on, bro.
Wait. I'm just gonna say. When you say,
it's Trump's policy. He just doesn't have all the X and O's. He's like, here's the plan. We need to get this done.
Yes, he's not a particular.
I think when he's thinking placeholder, he's the meme of Biden. He's like being held up weekend at Bernie's, and he's thinking the same thing with Trump. And he's like, no, I couldn't see Trump being that. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying here is that Donald Trump's strengths come in broad ideas and saying the broad idea. JD Vance is JD Vance is the VP of particulars. So what's going to happen is Donald Trump might say something sweeping, and then when the rubber hits the road and like somebody higher up articulating that, it's going to be JD, because JD is able to say the thing in such a way where everybody else can understand and dilute it. Now that's going to cause problems if his cabinet's inconsistent, because JD articulates something that Trump isn't clear about, and then someone in his administration undermines him, then we're going to be in this feedback loop of who's saying the correct thing.
I don't know why. Hold on. If I was an average voter, I don't know why I would trust any of these opinions that y'all are giving whenever y'all lost in a landslide. But then when I tell y'all what's happening,
Joe Lewis was with us on what.
Well, I mean, sure, I know that he was third party and didn't like Kamal either. I know that's true.
Didn't you just complain that we didn't listen to your advice, and now you're saying, well, you're not. Why should I listen to your advice?
Yeah, his guy won an election, so he knows everything.
Wildly, I've been pretty much right about all the elections that I said was going to turn out, and so hey, consistency is key.
It's just that I don't know what you're disagreeing with. It just sounds like you're disagreeing for the sake of trying to drive content, but there's nothing in the content of my argument that has disagreement to drive the content forward.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you specifically. You're just the last person that spoke. I'm just sort of going off you to talk to all this other coping that's happening, and where they're arguing about all these different niche things when it's really the simple local issues and the elitism that the dismissiveness. I know Joe is agreeing with me. It's just
such cope though to say that politics are the only politic is local. That's such heavy cope. Like, we can recognize how the federal engages with the other stuff. The only reason why you're activated about the border is because of federal mismanagement. Like, you get that, right? And
you care about the issues in your neighborhood, though, don't you? Don't you care about the issues in your neighborhood more, like generally? And I'm saying that happened with the general population. The economy obviously is the number one. The immigration is probably not number one. But
local politics are a stopgap to.
And if everybody's economy is doing bad, they're going to all go and vote for somebody who's going to change the economic policies.
Why on economics do you see a lot of support for Democratic policies, but not the Democrats themselves? Why? That's a question to anybody.
Oh, I could say why. I think the Democrat policies, when you see support for them, it's always in polls, because Democrat policies are always pitched in polls based on their incentives. So, for example, single-payer healthcare is always asked, do you believe in universal free healthcare? It's not. And then when you ask the different polling question, when you say, do you agree with banning private insurance? That polls extraordinarily unpopularly. But that is a fundamental part of most single-payer healthcare bans. That's not dishonest. At the point in time we're talking about when all those polls were happening, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren were the only two pushing for universal single-payer healthcare, and both of them included banning private insurance.
Probably for primary healthcare, not altogether.
Nope, completely banning private insurance.
I think something. A little bit to what Jeb is saying too, like going back to the idea of like child stipends, right? I think that if you polled people and said, which one would you rather? A child tax credit of $6,000 or a child stipend of $500 per month, I think most people would aim to, if they have any type of understanding of how these things work, probably the child stipends.
Yeah.
But the thing that's really unfortunate is that they'll position something that still has people like get basically preyed upon by the market, where like why advocate for a $6,000 tax credit that you'll only receive at the end of the fiscal year based upon the fact if you file, and why not just a non-taxable child stipend? Like that's just an easy clap for me. But I think something that Democrats at least try to do is give people some resemblance of crumbs. But then when it finally becomes a thing, it just isn't actualized in a substantive manner. Like the free lunch program under the USDA was great. It was a fantastic program. And they just let that go. They just let that lapse with
do you think they're maxing out their legislation with, like, as you would put it, crumbs because they're going after the wrong people to attract?
I think when I'm saying it's Democrats and Republicans too. They're not off the hook here. They're just broadly detached from working class people. So they think they have the answers on particular issues when I don't think they really understand what it means to be a working class person in America in 2024. Like we saw that when basically everybody was saying, yo, like my wages are up, but I still can't pay for my shit. And that's agitated my shit. And then all of a sudden they're like, child tax credit. And it's like, Nick, what are we doing here?
Well, like,
and then like her black aid was like 50,000 for black entrepreneurs. It's like most black people are just want to work jobs and pay the bills. They're not trying to take the risk to start a business. That's the last thing on their mind. But you're providing targeted aid to just black Americans that want to take the risk and start a business. A lot of these people already have a couple kids and a wife, and it's really irresponsible for them to take a risk and start a business. Like they need to spend time with their kids and work their job and pay their bills.
Like I'll give something else too, right? Because I was talking about this in a video today, not to plug it, but just it's also on my mind. Like when it comes to campaign finance reform, we should be banning corporate donations. Like donations to campaigns should just be from private citizens and cap it to the amount that you can give to a citizen. Like it should concern everyone that Elon Musk not only donated $5,000 of his own money to the Trump campaign, but also paraded himself as a supporter of Trump. If I'm like anybody with any type of brain cells, I would be yelling for Trump to resign from, Elon Musk to resign from X. Like they're now entangled with each other because of his contributions.
Then you have to worry about the NFTs. Then you have to worry about the watches.
Yeah, it's straight up corporatism. And again, like Democrats are not off the hook. Their corporatism as well. They have the celebrity journalistic arm. Like
Kamala raised $1 billion.
But that's
they both did. That's the craziest part. Like Donald Trump also had $1 billion in finance contributions.
Can you imagine if they just did go on all these trips and they just like had their like debates and they just took that money?
Donald Trump had more money from outside donations and outside contributions than actual committee money.
Money
it's like a quarter of $500 million.
Country is just ridiculous.
Well, that's one of the issues with campaign finance is like everybody's against it for the other. Like everyone will point to examples of like one side taking it, but
I guess for both sides. But I mean, if there's some way we could just streamline it and spend that kind of money on something better,
you would need a big coalition to like outright get rid of it. And even then,
but yeah, obviously
for the courts, I don't know if it's stand up to the current makeup of the courts anyway.
I don't even know how you go about doing that, but I'm saying like just the money they spend and waste is ridiculous.
I mean, like, that's why I mentioned too that like if we want to have a better representation of individuals, we're gonna have to start making concessions about and just going against the corporate arm. Like if we're talking about like equal opportunity to vote, then we need to start talking about equal opportunity to run for office. Like as much as like let's say Gibbs wants to run against whatever Republican Congress member, it doesn't matter. He's going to get his ass blasted every single time by the incumbent because the incumbent is not a working class person. Gibbs is a working class person. So Gibbs is going to have to, if he, like the only way that Gibbs could even be remotely competitive is that if he had some type of independent means that makes him detached from being a working class member, or he's just filthy rich. Like he has to be like Vivek Ramaswamy status, where Vivek can just be like, hey, I'm going to take a break of all my financial obligations for my company, step down, and then just fly across America doing all this shit.
Or you could be like Vance and that Peter.
Are you saying that we should like? What do you think the solution is to that? Like pay more people though? Like what is the solution to this?
Campaign stipends. I think it's reasonable to say. Three things actually: campaign finance reform, campaign stipends, and then a job guarantee. So, for instance, like if you're an employee and you leave your business or leave your job rather to run for office, your employer keeps your position open and keeps that spot because eventually. And again, we got to admit that these campaigns are long. They're 1 to 2 years of your life that you have to dedicate at least 90% of your life to. And then at the end of that, when you come out of the campaign, win or loss, if you're in public office, then you're no longer in that field anymore until you're out of office, or you lose and then you have to basically start all over again. I don't think that's okay. So I think that you need to have. What's that?
I want Gibbs's local GOP slogan for his campaign.
And for my campaign, I don't have one yet. We'll get one day.
I thought it was whoopins.
Like, it's reasonable to say that like
whoopins, bro. Yeah, whoopins, bro.
I think it's reasonable to say that like, hey, I think it's reasonable to say that, hey, Gibbs, like we're gonna give you X amount per month, commensurate to the average cost of like living in your area, so that you can successfully work on your campaign and not be burdened by your employer, burdened by these external factors that might pull you away from your campaign, like your employment. That's all.
Yeah, I would not advocate for that. But we don't.
Why is that?
Curious. No, because who's gonna pay for that? Two, like
the government.
I don't want my tax dollars going to that. First of all, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot
you
of.
You want your tax dollars?
I gotta be honest. I haven't even worked through all the different ways I don't like this. Is the issue like on one level? I'm like, do I want more like potential just people just running? There's more people running, just that inherently a good thing. Well, okay, now if like 100 people run, do we have to pay for 100 people that are going? Like, I don't think that's like actually a better thing. Like, what's the qualifications that I get this? Like, there's like so many levels to this that I'm like pretty sus on. I do think it's shitty. I think maybe increase the salaries. There's like some lower level like offices, like I don't know, comptroller or something. I don't fucking know, but like I don't know that I would agree with. How do you expect the business to hold a job for 2 years? What's that business supposed to do? Just go fuck themselves? There's a lot of levels to this.
Gibbs. It's not about their salary while they're in office.
Basically, they hire somebody to do the job while you're gone, but then they get fired when you come back, and they're fucked. So,
yeah, like at the end of the day, you still have to do all of the things that you would need to run for. I'm talking specifically about federal office. Like you still need to have filing and signature requirements. You still need to pay a filing fee. And in a lot of cases, the very process of filing is going to be sometimes even harder than the actual campaign itself. Like in some areas, you have to get up to 7,500 signatures. And like you're not doing that by yourself. Like it's hard as fuck, and you're not gonna have like disingenuous people trying to game the system, just trying to vie for 7,500 signatures or 500 signatures just to end up on the ballot to be a competitive candidate. Like you're gonna have people who are actually serious about it.
There's tons of disingenuous people. I don't trust that at all. Like
you don't trust
what?
Fuck, the irony.
Okay, so let me see if I'm understanding this correctly.
I talk about healthy mistrust all the time. I think that's that's like I don't know. I don't trust nobody. Fuck all that.
Okay, so how many signatures in Texas do you need to run for office?
I have no idea. Like off the top of my head, what am I supposed to just have the Texas statutes up in front of me for that?
I mean, for my state's 1,000. So but it's probably 500 for you if I had to guess. But let's say it's 500, right? Do you think that they're going to have a bunch of people getting 500 signatures to run for Congress if we had campaign stipends?
So if you're not a good enough leader that you can come up with a way to get 500 signatures, then I don't want you being an elected official that's leading.
So we agree. We agree then.
So like, what do you mean?
So we
like
agree
they already
on
have
campaign
signature
stipends.
requirements.
Right, but I'm saying that like
no.
You have steps, right? You have steps to be officially a candidate. And then from there, once you meet that threshold of legitimacy as a candidate, then you have a campaign stipend that says that, hey, you're serious about this. You got the signatures, you did the work, you were serious about this, you did all the steps of filing. We're going to make sure that your means are met so that you can at least have a shot in running your campaign successfully. Not, oh, congratulations, you got the 1,000 signatures. Now you have to still work your job, take care of your family.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I'm not.
Because again, like, I mean, I think you're down for it. I just don't want to admit it. But that's just me.
Absolutely, I'm not down for it. Like, I don't want. Listen, all right. First of all, if you can't lead, like, all right, if you're working a 9 to 5. All right, these are elected officials. All right, I get your argument. Oh, the more working man should have accessibility. However, even with that being said, you're going to want leaders, right? That's what the elected officials are. They're your leaders, right? Civic leaders. So if these people can't manage to be the cream of the crop and like work their local job and organize people to help them with this, then guess what? I don't want them to be my local leaders. So no, I don't want them to just have like the government giving them a handout. Hold on, give the government to give them a handout where they can just take 2 years off of the job. The tax dollars are going to pay for this. There's like, I don't know what the regulations are on how many people we're going to be giving this out to. If we have 1,000 candidates show up for one position, I don't want to have to give all these people 2 years worth of $50K worth of financing. What if it's more than that? Because each office is going to be different. Like, this is insanity.
So you think
it is literal insanity.
I don't think you're really thinking this through, and you're trying so hard to be against it. But I think you're down for it. Do you really think 1,000 people are gonna get? I think he's down for this. I'm gonna pill him. I'm gonna pill this nigga. I'm sorry, this lovely person. I'm gonna pill this man. Like. Gibbs, do you really think that 1,000 people are going to get 500 signatures to end up on the ballot for a Senate seat?
In Texas? Yeah. I think 1,000 people could get 500 signatures pretty fucking easily.
Jeb, what say you?
About the campaign finance reform stuff?
Well, specifically, Gibbs is doing some pushback here, and my pushback here is that, like, or just my overall claim here is that the incumbent, like, let's say you're running against Jeb Bush, right?
Yeah.
Jeb Bush doesn't have to work. Jeb Bush doesn't have to he can just campaign. He can spend his entire energy and time campaigning because he's not actually a working class person. He's getting money from the Senate to be a senator. So by being an incumbent, you already have an advantage over anybody who runs against you. And I'm saying that we should at the very least have some level of finance reform where, one, we restrict contributions to just private citizens and then cap that amount. And two, those who are running for office that are not incumbents currently in office. So you can't be a sitting senator, you can't be a sitting Congress member, you can't be a sitting governor, that you get a campaign stipend that helps for your means while you're running for office. And then the other one that we're still like fighting back and forth is essentially a job guarantee that says while you're running for office, your employer cannot let you go unjustly.
Yeah, no. I don't like that one because I don't consider it unjust for someone to let someone go and replace them for not working at your company. I think that's a pretty just reason not to employ them anymore. Just because they got to do it. It costs a lot of money to onboard employees. So this idea of like just onboarding another employee and then fire that employee when they get back, or hiring a temp worker or whatever, it's expensive and it just isn't fair. I like meritocratic sort of obstacles in the way of running for office. I'm okay with the fact that you do have to build a little bit of wealth for yourself in order to be in the position to run for office. I don't tend to like the outcomes of people who are just regular working people and they suddenly want to run for office, and now all of a sudden somebody who couldn't really ever elevate themselves and their own finances are now in charge of mine and my localities or my states or whatever. So I am actually pretty for campaign finance as it exists. I think it should be more transparent. That's all I care about, though, is transparency. I don't see too many situations where money is keeping us from getting something that everybody is just unanimous on. Because oftentimes the money in the politics and on the candidate side is about equal, if not dwarfed by the funding in politics on the propaganda side. So they already kind of get the public buy-in anyway. So I don't mind them also contributing to the campaigns. Like, I don't know of many issues that are just unanimously beloved by everybody, other than maybe like voter ID, that just don't happen. And on the government end, and I don't think voter ID is like a campaign finance problem. I think it's an optics issue.
Yeah. Well, my thing again is that, like, when you're going against incumbents in elections, you are already on your back foot because these are not people who are working class people. So, like, it doesn't matter how well you run a campaign. Like, the AOCs of the world are anomalies. Like, my representative, Bonnie Wattsman Coleman, didn't step foot in my state at all. I think she may have raised like less than 100,000 for her reelection campaign and just blew the incumbent out. Like, she dog walked the primary, dog walked the general, and that tends to be just the meta. Meanwhile, you get people, Republicans and Democrats alike, who they're never going to match that. They're never going to be able to substantially go against that because whatever they're doing as private citizens is going to always be an agitator, which is why you always end up being the people who have some level of independency from being, or as attachment as a working class person, going up against these people. And personally, for me, I'm just not down for it. I'm not down with that idea that, like, you have, like, I understand that, you know, money, like, you're gonna need money or a movement, like, I totally understand that part, but my whole thing is that, like, yeah, there are some people who could probably be absolutely fantastic candidates who are being essentially railroaded by those restrictions of how like money opens doors for people. And if you're spending all your time trying to still balance your job and your family, but also running a campaign, you're just at a complete disadvantage from these people because they don't have to worry about that.
What barriers are we okay with that stop people from getting into public office?
I think
no,
in
I mean, it
general,
was more rhetorical. I wasn't asking for like an actual list of barriers, but just in the sense of what is being talked about now, where it's such a huge financial undertaking to run for public office that it kind of creates that, I don't know if you would call it an artificial barrier, but it definitely creates a barrier for a lot of people to even entertain the idea.
Yeah, but
I think, to be clear, by the way, I was speaking specifically about federal. I think it's significantly easier the lower you get, and like the stakes are a little bit different. But yeah, go for it. Sorry.
How the rent is too damn high guy get on the debate stage? You remember that guy?
I mean, he had good organizers, I think, back in the day. He was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely entertaining. I can give him that.
Well, media decides who can and cannot have a voice. Like, the only reason why we had debates during the presidential primary for my Senate seat is because local news media thought that we ought to have it, but they went by the wayside. We had 3 debates. We had 3 debates and 2 sit-down dialogues, and none of that, like, that was just like a local thing from the Senate thing from the primary level. But nobody watched that. Nobody saw that. But it's like, damn, like, it would be pretty refreshing if everybody was able to see these things, because not going to lie to you, like, Andy Kim is a terrible senator. He's going to be one of the like, I'm again, low fucking bar. He's replacing Bob Menendez, but it's like, he's already a step above from being he's not a fucking crook, but he's just the J6 janitor. So, like, I don't want the J6 janitor that votes in tandem 100% for Dems to be another he's just the placeholder. Like he's literally the placeholder because he doesn't distinguish himself differently from the DNC apparatus. He really supports them 100% of the time. And then like he'll say the nice thing when it's convenient, but in reality he has no desire of being distinguishable as a candidate. He's just a body, a warm body in a Senate. Like
was he the one caught with gold bars?
Bob? Yeah.
I mean, like who?
He's running for
left into
governor,
an
by the way.
actual bar of gold?
That motherfucker's running for governor. It's crazy, right? It's crazy how we allow felons to run for office.
I would love to just see, like, witness someone walking down the street with a bar of gold, like a little.
He had a
bar of
bedazzled
gold.
jacket too. It was crazy. Like, listen, and again, like, he's probably not the only one. He's just the one that got caught. Like,
It's
just
funny that the criminality doesn't seem to keep people from getting votes. Wasn't there like a mayor in Canada that like got caught smoking crack and still got reelected?
Yeah. Because again, like people are like the morals of individuals. I think people they hold very, very low. I love when Democrats try to paint Donald Trump as this evil person. Like, oh, he says mean things. And like, that's the meta now. Like, you're getting mad at the meta. He's doing the meta. And then when you do the meta, you don't know how to do the meta. So, like, everybody gets confused about why you say it. So it's like, it's weird. No one really cares. Like, Joe Biden could call all conservatives garbage and say the real garbage is conservatives and nothing would happen. He'd have no repercussions or consequence.
I don't care about being mean. I care about the whole, like, fashy stuff.
Yeah.
The whole like wanting police to be more violent and giving them immunity so they can beat people up. Like that's what bothers me about Trump.
Well, and to Joe's point, that's part of the problem. Is if you're predicting the end of the world and then everybody wakes up the next day and the world hasn't ended, then what do you do?
You know what people? You know what?
Do. He wants cops to be able to shoot people and not go to jail for it. He's said that.
Well, again, like I think the one thing that's legitimately dangerous about Donald Trump this time around is that he's had
Thanks for the raid, Gibbs. Appreciate it.
Yeah, on that note, I actually have to go. Y'all be good. Thanks
All
for
right,
doing real fun. Enjoy y'all's night.
Yeah, thanks again.
Later, Gibbs.
Damn it, Jeb. Fuck you. I was trying to pill him on campaign finance reform.
I mean, you were
I very much do not care about campaign finance. It's not something that I would worry about.
I understand. What was I saying before that? Oh, right. Like, I just don't. He's so like Donald Trump is going to be scary this time around because he's had 4 years of sitting and contemplating and coordination and organizing. And
well, I hope he does the whole turn up the police violence thing. We're gonna have another 2020 again.
Well, I think in the short term,
more protests.
Yeah, like in the short term, if you have, how do I say this? At the local level, you're going to have to really organize against your state legislatures to create safeguards for a Trump administration, right? So, like, if you're really worried about Trump deporting all the Mexicans, you're going to have your state legislature create some type of framework about engaging with law enforcement, like ICE agents and law enforcement. Like my state we are a sanctuary state, which means it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it basically says that police officers do not have to collaborate with law enforcement officers. In the practical sense of it, that allows for some other fuckery. And the Biden administration did that to my state, but that's like something you have to consider. You're going to have to, if you're really serious about Trump and you think he's the most evil thing in the face of the planet, you're going to have to bully your legislatures to ban the extension of private contracts for immigration centers.
I mean, you're only going to be able to do that if you're lucky enough to live in a fucking blue state, you know?
Yeah.
That's why all we see on Twitter right now, at least among the trans community, is people going, you need to get to a fucking blue state, you know, because there will be no fucking protection for trans people in red states. They're just fucked now.
Yeah.
Protection in what regard?
I'd say you had to look at like what the present situation is with your legislature and then make that determination. I do unironically think that trans folks have to move to blue states. I do hold that position. I think in the short term, if you have the means to do so, I think you need to have an exodus out of these areas that you're clearly in danger. That's not the best thing in the world.
No, it's
and
not.
not
Just like most people don't have the fucking resources to do
right.
that shit.
And
what
and then I
protections?
think
rally everyone.
Wait, I'm curious. What protections we're worried about getting stripped from trans people, like specifically?
my sorry.
One of the most basic ones, right? Is just is okay. Wait, I want to see which way I want to go with this because there's a few.
I'm just curious
But,
with like social protections, or if you actually think
So-
like somehow they're going to make it legal to like beat up or kill trans people.
I don't think they're going to make it legal to beat up or kill trans people. Sort of. There's already a penchant in red states for letting people off for beating up or killing trans people using the trans panic defense, but I don't think there's going to be that. I think that it will be attack on healthcare, attack on discrimination protection, attack on right to freedom of expression, right? The same sort of stuff that they've already tried to do, legislating against people performing wearing the wrong clothes for their gender, right? In an effort to make an all-encompassing kind of thing to ban drag acts. But really, like, the medication is like one of the first fucking things that's going to be really worrying for a lot of trans people. Not just because a lot of trans people rely on that medication in order to live healthy, fulfilling lives and not feel like they want to die all the fucking time, but also because a significant number of trans people who have had like bottom surgery or whatever, or have been on anti-androgens for a significant amount of time, can't produce testosterone in their body naturally. So if they get their medication cut off, they're going to get seriously ill. Like just physically, they will get unwell. Long term, there's like osteoporosis and things as well.
Have the has the GOP made it part of our platform to not allow adults to have access to hormone therapies?
It's not a party platform, but it has been a local platform. Like they've attempted to pass bills restricting access to hormone replacement therapy for fucking anybody. They've tried to pass bills making it illegal for a guy to put on a dress in public. Okay,
yeah,
like the length.
I mean, we're talking about like an isolated locality, like tried to do it and then failed. I mean, that sucks, but I don't think that means that now that Trump is president, trans people in every red state are all of a sudden not going to be able to get hormone
You're going to be
therapies.
talking about like if you go to jail for something.
Also, I'm seeing the only laws I'm seeing Republicans have ever talked about in regard to trans medication for adults is specifically just not allocating federal funds to providing it.
I think something
I
that
mean,
is
a lot
immediate.
of people rely on those federal funds to be able to get their medication because they can't fucking get it privately, because trans people as a group are extremely socially disadvantaged and are typically quite poor, which will only increase if they remove, for example, discrimination protections in work, right? They want to get rid of Title IX protections, which opens up trans people to horrific fucking treatment in schools, right? There's a lot of shit, right?
I'd say too, the most immediate thing, and this is something I'm really going to be paying attention to once this fucker gets in January, is Title IX amendments. Because currently, I mean, the Biden administration's Title IX amendment was absolute dog water. Basically, it prohibited category bans of transgender students from participating in sports, but it allowed for restrictions that were basically, you had to make the substantive argument that it for the attempt of minimizing harm or being the objective, whatever your school is, which is an arbitrary as shit standard.
I mean, it really is. When it comes to discrimination law, it quite often is relatively arbitrary and will depend on what an individual court will decide.
I mean, I don't think, in my opinion, Title IX protections for trans people in sports are ridiculous. I don't think trans people should be in women's sports.
I know you're transphobic, but we're talking amongst people who actually give a fuck.
I mean, what I'm saying is trans people are not made unsafe. by the fact that they can't beat the shit out of women in fucking basketball. Like, it's just not.
Beat
Well,
the
my
shit out of
not a
women
big
in
deal.
basketball. Okay. Eat a
my
dick.
thing is that like I look at sports a little differently educationally, so we're never going to probably agree on this. Is that I don't really buy into this idea of sports needing to be competitive at certain levels. I think that the rivers start to split around high school, but generally speaking, I think you could have an open policy where anybody can compete with anybody from like K through 9 and 8
Yeah,
or 9 depending on your
that I'd
state.
be fine with. Yeah, I
Yeah,
could
and then
totally
you
get
can
on with
like
that.
start carving out parameters and like clarifying like the role of transgender students in sports because there's a lot of like there's conflicts in there that I think are important. For example, like a lot of states don't allow a lot of programs. I'd have to double check this because I'm not caught up with this information quite yet, or at least not to a sensitive manner to argue this fully. But women still can't play football.
Where I think it's really complicated though is you still, when you're in high school, you're working towards getting scholarships for college.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why high
And
school
that's
is where I
where
would
it's
say you
wrong.
have to segregate by sex. You just
Or at
have
least
to.
clarify certain things. Because like for instance, if like my daughter said she wanted to play football, I'd be like, okay, but at a certain point we're gonna have to have a conversation
There,
about like the reality of the situation. And I would hold this too if my child ended up being trans on either side of it.
I think
Trans
there's
or
a lot of
non-binary, whatever the case may be, because there's going to be overt barriers that you're going to have to deal with head on. And you might be able to sorry, go for it.
it's always going to be kind of weird because like I think there is a lot of research that it isn't really that much of an advantage and we should just let it go, and
Right.
that's good and all. But then like the second there's somebody that excels where everyone's going to be like alert and they're going to like what happened with that boxing thing, they weren't even trans and they were accusing them of being trans, and it's just
Well, and again, like
it's
we've had this war over women for decades, if not generations, and now as we expand gender norms, now trans people are in the crosshairs. Because I think it's just easy and convenient. It's easy and convenient to make like restrictive argumentation about why trans women and men can't compete, and at the same time, I'm looking at it that like certain organizations have outright bans towards these individuals, whether it be women or trans, and or like, rather just like women, period, and men, period. And I don't know, I don't know where youth sports quite fits in there yet, because for a lot of people, they just want to play a sport and have fun, and they don't
that
really
seems like
care
the
about.
answer is like it's okay for them to play as long as they're not very good at it, and then it's a problem.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm trying to be really careful,
It's
because
weird.
once the minute like a
Yeah,
trans athlete gets good, it's like all of a sudden it's a problem. But it's like maybe this is just a child who has the proper social institutions and ecosystem to be successful. And now because you don't know how to make your kid competitive, you think that they're competitive from
I'm sorry,
biological.
Joe. I
Yeah,
don't want to fucking argue about transport. It's so fucking irritating
I understand.
that when we start talking about things like, okay, sport is important, but it's not, and it's a gateway for like fucking talking about trying to induct people into reactionary thought towards trans people anyway, right?
Sure.
But like, people are facing real threats to from like stopping their medication to having discrimination protection removed to all of this sort of shit. And then like the Republicans always want to push it back to like, oh, I just don't think these men should be in women's sports or
And that's
whatever.
the boogeyman
And
that
it's
they
so
use.
fucking disingenuous because it's obvious that what they actually want is people to not be trans because that's fucking inconvenient.
That's discrimination, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well,
specifically in regard to Title IX, we kind of do have to have the conversation about trans sports because that's what it pertains to.
Well, there's
right? Because
something.
if you can concede on the argument of trans sports and saying one, it's not that important, and two, there is just a biological advantage to being a male in women's sports.
I'm not fucking. I'm not conceding to it, and I don't give
Well,
a
that's
fuck.
fine.
about
Then
any
what our side would say is
Everybody
you
has
don't just
everybody
want
has
the
a
freedom to
biological
do your.
advantage in sport. None. I don't care what your side is saying on sport because
Yeah,
you
I
don't
know.
give a fuck about
Nobody
sport.
cares. Yeah, that's
Sport
not
is just
true
the,
at
sport
all.
is just
You know.
the entry shit.
No,
If that was all
I
you
could
cared
explain
about-
to you in ridiculous, excruciating detail all the scientific reasons why I think they shouldn't be able to be in women's sports because I give a fuck about women's sports. I know everything about every argument for trans people not competing in women's sports because I care about it.
arguing about fucking trans people in women's sport.
In women's sports because I care about women's sports.
You don't give a shit.
You're just. I mean, you're just wrong.
But regardless, I don't care arguing about fucking trans people in women's sport all the fucking time, right? Because
I understand.
as much as that is an issue, as much as trans people do have the right to compete in the compete as the gender that they identify as, I don't think that every time we have this conversation, the right just wants to drag it back to the sports shit.
I did not bring up Title IX.
Not being included
clear.
in sports sucks, and it is a vector for like violence against trans people. It helps helps validate general prejudice against trans people, right? But it's not as bad as like just fucking losing access to your medication, or your legislature saying that it's okay for you for people to fire people for being trans, right?
Look, that's where it becomes like really complicated. It's like a newer last couple years phenomenon, and I think even the people that try to be allies, they still really don't know how to, and they're asking all these questions. Then you get bad actors will come in and start attacking, and it feels like everybody's coming at you, and it's got to be rough dealing with that.
Well, there's even like, so for me, this is like outside of trans issues generally, I see and recognize that we're at a point where social institutions are changing in real time, and the resistance to that change is just heavy.
I remember I remember like 30 years ago when just being gay was like a weird thing, and now it's like
you can't even be black and be a teacher. Like not being hyperbolic there, but it's just like there's like what, like for instance, and this is why like at first it was these institutions are so careless that it's going to teach your. I'm being really hyperbolic when I say this, so someone in chat, someone in Lethe's chat is probably going to freak out when I say this, but it's like at first the argument was these institutions are so careless that they're going to make white people hate themselves for being white, and then when that just basically ended up being nonsense. They're like, well, actually, these institutions are so careless, it's going to prevent you from having grandkids. And then it's like, what do you mean? How are they going to prevent me from having grandkids? And it's like, well, have you heard of trans people? Boo! And then like, I'm sitting here going like, this is such fucking bullshit.
30 years from now, nobody is going to care, and everyone's just going to be like, yeah, whatever, do what you want. But right now, there's always
with trans people in sports, I could not disagree more. I actually think we're very close to just reaching a consensus that we need to segregate based on biological sex in all cases, because all the science points that direction.
I'd say again, like, there's a clarification of institutions that needs to be had, and I think once that clarification is made, it might help. Because I don't think there's a consensus about the role of sports and education. I don't even think there's a consensus about the role of education, period. And then what we're seeing is like those institutions that are responsible for shaping domestic life, shaping political life are morphing in real time. Like there was some woman I was arguing, I shouldn't say arguing with, I was canvassing at the time, but she was very upset about the idea of like education is turning people into these activists. And I was just like, well, why is that a bad thing? Like, why is it bad to make sure that your institutions allow you to properly question your surroundings? It's basically what I asked.
Great hates education, but
yeah, and she basically was just like, it's not education's job to learn about the world around you. It's their job to teach. And I had to bite my tongue because I knew that like I gotta let her cook, because my goal is not to debate her, but just like to understand where she's standing at, like where she stands in her position. But that's like rough, where I think for like in my eyes, like yeah, we should be at least in the educational environment, like positioning children and young adults to be able to question the world around them
I
and have
hear
some type of normative ground of like what you care about.
I hear that kind of argument as far as like teaching kids about like different sexes, but then like I mean, Sesame Street used to do the same kind of thing when we were growing up, but we didn't think it was like some big like leftist conspiracy. We were just
For them, the only issue I think most normal people have is where the activism is derived from. Is the activism your child's natural response to flat, plain information they've been delivered effectively by a good teacher, or did the teacher lead with what opinion they should have about the information when they gave them the information, and that's why
they're trying to make it so like you can hate people that are different from you when you don't hate them, basically.
No, they're just saying like when my kid goes into a certain like politics class in high school, and they come out with like it seems like 90% of the kids in this class come out with the same exact take on like multiple geopolitical issues. It's probably not a coincidence. They are probably being taught by someone who has those views as well, and they are being taught through the lens of somebody who believes specific things about it, and not necessarily just given the straight up facts. Which you can do.
Do you replace your teachers with AI, or what? What do you do with that?
No, I think AI would be worse. I think it's you trust teachers more, but I think part of building the trust between teachers is getting parents more involved in school board meetings and things like that, so that they can build that trust through actual interaction with their teachers. I think that's what Florida's trying, and there have been hiccups in some regard, and there's been really great gains made in other regards. So it's like parental involvement is always going to add an extra human factor to the process that's going to be both positive and negative, but I think it does trend positively because it builds trust.
Well, not for nothing, like I'm down for schools being and this might be where the rivers really rift. Like I'm down for schools being anti-capitalist, anti-colonial, like anti-market. Like but the way you do it, I think, is really important because for me, right, like I'll just use race as an example because it's like the easiest way of understanding it. Where it's like basically, if you walk into the framework of just America and you're told like a particular fact, whatever that fact may be, once you bring in a racial aspect to it, it brings a bunch of different sort of contradictions to whatever the prevailing narrative is. And then what happens is you get teachers who, I'll argue irresponsibly, try to clarify that contradiction, but that really like, instead of like sort of using that opportunity to walk through, okay, why is this weird? Where like one of the things I think is really misguided is that the colonialists, by colonialists I'm talking like founding fathers and what have you, and those who were slaveholders, they thought that slaves were human. The argument wasn't that slaves were not human. The argument was that they are human, but they are also property. And by them being property, that means something totally different. And what I hear so many teachers say, and this was like pervasive until I was in college, they're like, yeah, they just didn't treat them that weren't human. They didn't treat them that weren't human. And then finally it wasn't until like my last year in undergrad that like it just took a professor saying like, no, they knew that they were human. Like, here's all the evidence to support that they were clearly and openly aware of the action, but like like them being human, interpreted as human, and then being interpreted as property were in contradiction with each other. And then like having a discussion, okay, like how do we like what's the like, and then engaging it from the class that way, because I think like you could take a class of like fifth graders who could easily be like, I think you can naturally come to the conclusion with presented the historical context to go, yeah, like humans aren't property. So like, without having to like overtly
and I think it
teach
obviously scales. I think I'm okay with teachers that have transparent opinions as long as one, they have a good faith effort to capturing the other side up to like at the end of high school. Like I actually don't care about it as much in college. I had college professors,
by the way.
The other side of certain political issues. So like in the Israel-Palestine issue, like talking about whether a genocide's happening right now. I'm totally fine with a professor who believes that a genocide is happening, but I would also like for them to be honest on the facts and demonstrate all the facts that the argument that Gaza is not going through a genocide right now are presenting, including like traditional definitions of genocide
Each
and
sides of the Holocaust. I remember. Yeah.
Well,
That
the
was a
question.
Republican Party. That was a
give it
Republican
No.
Party
schools because they only
platform, wasn't it?
teach one side?
what?
Should we get rid of Catholic schools because they only teach one side?
I mean, private schools are totally different. Private, if you want to have the communist private school, I don't care.
He's an asshole too, sir. Gun is made
Why
for
is
you.
that
Philip
different?
asshole.
Why is
Why
a
are you
private
allowed
school
to
different than a public
indoctrinate
school?
kids?
Because my taxes pay for a public school. They don't
Why are
pay
you
for a
allowed to
private school.
indoctrinate kids if you can just pay to do it? That's fucked up, dude.
What? No.
Hey,
The
I'm
kids'
rich,
parents would be
so-
paying to do it, so they would be.
Yes.
Yeah, but parents can already
Exactly.
indoctrinate their kids. That's what parents do fundamentally.
Right, which is why we have a public fucking school system and why we have regulation and shit. Because you
Yes.
can counteract that indoctrination with
You're
good
agreeing with-
education.
you're
but
agreeing with
not
me.
If they can just pay extra money to send their kid to a private school where they're going to get indoctrinated.
The point of a public school is to make sure that the state is not trying to indoctrinate your kids. We have nothing in American legal tradition or social tradition that says that parents should not influence what their kids believe. It's ridiculous. I think Joe Lewis should be able to raise his kids as fucking atheist communists, and I should be able to raise my kids as Christian capitalists. Oh wait, yeah, you're a type of Christian. I forgot which one.
I think raising your kids Christian is child abuse, but
that's
but
great.
yeah,
I'm in the position of.
I don't
nothing
think
to do
you
with
should.
American
I don't think
legal
you should.
tradition.
I don't think you should teach children things that are patently untrue. I think that's fucked up.
I don't think that this might be a totally different conversation. I don't like religions are these like artifacts, these historical artifacts, and certain faiths are at different paths to whatever history that they have with it. Like if you made the argument back in like 1700 that hey, I don't feel too good about these Christians because every time like I hang out with these Christians, they want to like purify the world. and like this, I don't want to. This feels a little colonial and a little genocidal, and it's using religion as a cover. And anybody making that argument back then would be accurate. But it didn't. It
and
wasn't
we have
like,
laws about what Christian schools can teach you. Like a Christian school can't call you to violence.
You can't actually make raising a kid Christian child abuse right now. Because that's fucking.
And you should never be able to, right? Because you just said
in the culture.
And it shouldn't be able to.
I just think terrifying children and abusing them essentially by telling them that they're going to go to hell if they don't, if they end up being gay or whatever. Like I think that's fucking abuse.
I agree with that. I don't think it's even
Yeah.
Christian to do that. I think that's really gross to do that.
It's extremely Christian to do that. Christians do it all the fucking time.
Well, just Christians do something doesn't mean it's Christian to do it, right? There are a lot of gay Christians, but doesn't mean gay is Christianity.
It's fucking biblical. They're just teaching them the Bible. What's the problem?
There's
personally, I think that we do. I'm going to teach my kids about all the faiths, and we're going to learn together. Like my girlfriend is Muslim, I'm Roman Catholic, and we're going to learn it all. We're going to learn all the faiths, and I want them to come
Teaching
out
children
of
about religion is fine, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and then like
I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
You
I think
just
like
you give them the fucking freedom of choice, you know?
yeah, and I think you got to give them like the normal, like just knowing to like here are the faiths, here's what they believe, here's what they believe from the particular texts. This is the history of how it evolved over time, and then if they come out of it with being like, hey, I want to be Muslim, it's like okay. Hey, I want to be Catholic. It's like, okay, but at least I know that like my child is going to be a kick-ass Catholic because my child's going to have like a firm backing of all these other faiths and how it relates to their Catholicism. So they're going to be like, I was gonna say super predators. That'll be really bad, but they're gonna be like way smarter than the average Catholic person just walking around the street. Yeah,
or even if they don't want to convert, they are just fascinated by it and want to learn more and research more. And well, when I was in high school, though, we did World Civilization, where we did learn about a bunch of world religions. It was like a standard thing
Yeah.
where you're not told any one in particular is the path or the correct way, but it was just like a fact finding type assignment when we were all assigned stuff.
Because not for nothing, like real talk, like Protestants are the religion of the clan. We talked about this the other day, where it's like not too long ago, those low-level Protestants just produced clan members, and the clan knew this. And then when you say like, "Yo, like your party is the party of the clan," and they're like, "No, we're not." It's like, why's that cross burning in your backyard? I don't know. It's like, okay, y'all got to figure this shit out because you're fucking shit up for everybody else. And now we're at the point in at least Protestant history, sort of, don't ask Amy Wax, that's like low-level Protestant, like the clan Protestantism is separate from like the mainstream contemporary Protestantism. And like when I talk to those who are Protestant, like they all say kind of like the same thing, that like that whole process it's still not resolved, but it's just really messy. And I think most faiths have to have that. Like you're not going to get to a point in any faith where you can actually further like really detach itself. That's why like I think Judaism needs to just engage with the fact that they're just a settler colonialism religion and just die on it. To be like, look, we have a manifestation of this faith that reproduces settler colonialism. And if you want your faith to not be treated like garbage, you're going to have to detach that and find a way to change from within. And that's an internal thing, because you're going to have to navigate through doctrine. You're not doctrine, excuse me. You're going to have to navigate through religious interpretations of text. You're going to have to navigate through
Sorry, did
Mm-hmm.
interpretation
you say
of words.
Judaism is inherently settler colonial?
Doobie might make that argument.
Right, but Doobie's a fucking arsehole. What would you?
I love Doobie.
True.
So it sounded like that's what you said. Like, I don't
Wait,
know.
one more time?
That Judaism is inherently settler colonial.
No, I think that it has a vein of it where it's kind of like, I think Roman Catholicism has a fucking kids problem in their faith, and it's not even like, like less hyperbolic. There is a section, or at least interpretation, of the Roman Catholic faith that presupposes religious leaders to diddle young boys, and every time they try to nip it, they're like not quite resolving the problem. And in the same way,
Catholic. There's a huge problem within the Catholic Church, and largely because the Catholic Church is extremely hierarchical,
right?
In terms of like, all Christian organizations are like hierarchical to a point, or nearly all of them, as outside of like some real fringe shit like Christian anarchists. But like, but the Catholic Church is extremely hierarchical, and when the hierarchy starts like allowing that kind of shit and giving people extreme power over young kids, like that's gonna fucking happen. But it happens in Methodists, it happens among the Protestants, it happens an awful lot among a significant amount of religions, because the problem is that you're elevating men, especially men, to positions of significant authority.
And there's no pussy
in an unjust fashion.
Literally, contractually obligated against pussy.
Sorry, I was being a little hyperbolic there, but my bad.
Yeah. I gotta head out, but I love you all.
Been a blast, Jeb. Thanks for coming through.
Fuck off.
Peace, everybody.
Later, Jeb.
But yeah, I agree with you, where it's like, the problem isn't really like the fact that Catholic priests are fucking kids. Like, not a fucking kids problem. It's more of like a patriarchy problem. And then that patriarchy, coupled with all these other things, are leading to just kids getting abused.
Catholicism is like inherently fucking patriarchal, though.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
we got a pope.
male priests all the fucking way, right? Like, you're not gonna have a fucking woman pope anytime fucking soon. The Catholic Church is a patriarchal religion. Like, I don't know why you'd sign on to Catholicism if you don't support patriarchy.
I am at least glad, like, the newest pope, he is more progressive than I expected the Catholic Church to ever be. I'm not Catholic or anything. It's just the outside noticing it.
Oh, when it comes down to
Okay,
religion,
I look forward to him abdicating his seat for a woman. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, it's not gonna fucking happen. Is it?
yeah, that ain't happening.
So I don't give a shit if he pays some lip service to, like, out in the general world, like maybe maybe women should have some more rights or whatever. Like the Catholic Church itself is a patriarchal organization. It's deeply hierarchical, and it places men, especially, at the top of that hierarchy.
And they have doctrine, so it's not even like that.
Yeah.
That's the part that I think people don't quite like. As a recovering Roman Catholic, it is very frustrating to hear Christians argue, because it's like, damn, it must be nice to be able to just like look at the Bible and say, nope, that's not how I read it. It's like we got a motherfucker all the way at the top that can just say tomorrow, we don't like gay people. Yep, fuck them. That's just straight down. And they can't even get to the point of like, hey, like they can marry, right, guys? Like you'll get deacons and other motherfuckers and bishops are just like, I don't agree with what the Pope is. All these like Catholics do at this level, like low level Catholics, like just what's amongst us, all they do is argue about how the Pope ain't shit. And it's really like annoying.
I mean, they're not.
But the
wrong.
meanwhile, like when it ties into like in terms of like my Judaism take, is that there's just aspects of every faith that have like just manifesting just crazy shit. Like
Organized religion in general, like,
Yeah.
is that. Like, I
Right.
just don't.
And
this
then
is
it's
another reason why I think
yeah,
like indoctrinating children into religion is like fucking abusive.
and it's
Like,
entangled in Israeli ethnicity, which makes it so messy, because on one hand, not every Israeli is Jewish, and then you run into a like outright capital Z Zionist, and then they'll say some things where they'll just say like the exact opposite of that fact, and you're just like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, there's no like I heard a rabbi say at a rally, it was a counter protest down the street from me. He says like he said that like Jewish people are guaranteed Israel now and forever. And I was just like, Jesus, bro. Like,
no, they took care of that problem, but like
like,
ultimately,
goddamn,
religion kind of does that. Like that's why we had problems with the Bible.
If Gavin McGinnis said that about white people, watch list immediately. Let there be like America is for white people now and forever. It's like FBI is like, yeah, we're gonna watch this guy. Like, there's no.
I mean, look, Christianity fucking did that, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, fucking
Doctrine and Discovery.
Shit, what's it called in America?
Sounds like the upcoming immigration policy.
Just saying.
The whole we deserve this land shit. What was it called?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Manifest
Destiny.
Manifest Destiny. Thank you. Sorry.
Doctrine and Discovery. Like, if we discover we had to purify the world. Ugh.
I'm running a pretty high fever at the moment. Like, remembering shit is
The
hard.
fact that you're able to hold out here, I appreciate it, and thanks for coming through, Viv.
Thank you. I feel like
and again, like,
I'm a little
it's why,
bit
like,
shivery.
That's brutal.
But if
like
I wasn't doing
MAGA.
this, I'd just be lying in bed, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather be distracted by you idiots.
Understandable. Hey, I'm so excited for all of these feminists to discard Kamala Harris, like the Toy Story meme. Like, I no longer need you, because I mean, I don't know if y'all talked about it, but
Joe,
that
we got
lady
4 years.
sucked.
We don't want to do this again 4 years from now. 4
That
years.
lady sucked.
We gotta
Like,
work on something.
Democrats are not allowed to pick female candidates anymore. They had 2 tries. They're done. They're done. You're not good at it. Like, they're just not good. I think we need an
still think
arms
AOC is
embargo.
gonna get there eventually.
I think we need an arms embargo on Democrats picking female candidates to run for president. They're done. They're 0 for 2. Right? Do you want to drag Jill Stein for being a political loser? They don't know how to pick women. Again, not my problem. Should have won. She should have won. You'd be 1 for 1. But
on that topic, do you see any future or near future GOP female candidates breaking through to like?
I don't know, man. I think all roads point to JD Vance, unfortunately. I don't know, like, both parties are in this weird realignment crisis.
Do you really want to give the suitcase to Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Do you think if Nikki Haley wouldn't have taken her shot against Trump that, like, in another cycle or two, she would have had.
The people that were supporting her were the never Trumpers, and that's not.
I'm not talking. She
Like,
would have been able to build a coalition for it.
But that's her base, and that base is gone now. I mean,
I don't think the base ever existed.
I don't think MAGA as the giant, whatever the giant faction, the giant cult that it is now, is gonna ever back Nikki Haley.
I don't think they're gonna back Tulsi Gabbard. I think that
no, they're definitely not backing Tulsi.
Like, I think people gotta listen. Listen to all the fellas out there. I understand. I see what you see in her. And while I'm not gonna hear you out, I understand we are both seeing the same person. I get it. You guys need to like figure something out with your special sock and leave that lady alone. Because she sucks. and I don't think anybody again, like, don't trust these people when they pick women, Republicans and Democrats alike. But especially Democrats, they're no longer allowed. Republicans at least know not to pick women because they know that they're never going to survive a political campaign.
Who do you trust to pick women?
Why aren't women surviving political campaigns?
That's a good question. That's a good question, Viv.
Because
there's
I don't think it's just misogyny. I'm sure there's some part of it, but I think that, like, the Democratic Party has just been very shit with its last two women candidates. Like, Nikki Haley didn't have the support in the party that the MAGA movement did. Like, I don't think it's just misogyny. Like,
well, that's the part that's so annoying. Like, all those libs are just like, it was just racism and misogyny. I'm like, we're not in the same world right now.
Yeah, it's so deranged. Like, the libs are just coping. They're trying to find any explanation other than the idea that actually their candidate didn't fucking offer anything.
We got to get past. We got to get past. They blame you. You blame them. We got to somehow get on the same page. And I'm not gonna say it was one side's fault or the
Why
other.
do I have to get on the same page? They're not my fucking party.
Well, I mean, you're in a different country. You're
give a
not
fuck
really
about them.
part of the whole election. But, like, if we want to ever win an election again, we're gonna have to get on the same page, and I don't know how we do that.
I
mean, they've just spent all their time fucking trying to eliminate any leftist influence from the party. They look like they're fucking swinging right in the same way that like the Labour Party did over here.
I get it. I get it on both sides where I'm trying to talk to people that are on the far left, and then I'm not far enough left because I like Bernie and AOC still. But then, like, I go to the moderates, and I'm like crazy, wacky leftist. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really fit in with either side. I'm trying to actually get everyone to work together, and nobody even wants to begin to. Everyone just wants to point fingers and blame each other, and it's.
I think it's important, like, one level of this.
It legit isn't awful. Like,
MAGA isn't sitting there worrying about, like, oh, we're Hassan's group, oh, we're Bausch's group, we're Destiny's group, and we have to fight each other.
I don't fuck about these dumb fucking internet creators. Jesus fuck, dude.
I think
family online shit. 90% of Democratic voters don't even know who these fucking people are.
but
Although you might know more who Hassan is since the fucking whole Congress thing.
Well, but they don't, because we don't work together. Like, you see Joe Rogan, like, how that's like become part of the mainstream now, but there's no Joe Rogan on the left. There's no like.
I think that
closest thing you got is probably Hassan, yeah, and he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
so,
he is.
Like imagine.
The thing is, Joe Rogan can be an idiot, and it's fine. It works for them, right?
Yeah.
But, like, whoever our thing is can't be going around saying some of the shit that Hassan says. Yeah.
Yeah. I look at the fact that if you took all the third-party candidates, right, and you put them together, you're gonna have almost 2 million votes, and I don't believe that every single person among the millions of Harris supporters and the million of Trump supporters are actually down for that decision, especially Harris supporters. I think that there's this like really pervasive idea that the only way that your politics are legitimate is if your candidate wins.
Yeah, but there's
or
this
able
Mean
to
Girls
win.
Club we've created, and both sides have done it. And it's not just the people that go third party; it's also the people that just don't show up because they don't like the scene. They don't like this candidate because of this issue or this candidate because
Yeah.
of this issue. They don't want to talk about like their problems with each other or anything. They just want to go like, "Well, fuck this guy. I hope you guys lose." And
Like it
we
was so
keep
funny.
doing that.
It was so funny when
I
like
didn't
Butch
like.
Ware.
There are things I didn't like about Kamala. I mean, I really hated the. I probably went on about this earlier, but the fact that she did this whole thing about the border at Biden, like after we spent 8 years complaining about Trump and the border, for them to just go like, yeah, we got to fix the border. It was just like, you just validated everything you guys shit on Trump for 8 years.
Yeah. Or
And they
even
didn't
just
really need to. Like, it's what is even the border problem? Yeah, people do cross illegally, but again, it's not really the majority of the crime. And if they do commit crimes, they get deported. So,
these are the parties of corporates. Like they're corporate parties, and nothing like there's a lot of things that I was hoping was obvious, but the overt Pete Buttigieg in the last cycle was fucking gross. Like, I don't know who told that man to go on Jubilee, but they should no longer be allowed to make decisions. Because if you're trying to position that you are no longer, like, you are not the party of corporate interests, you're not the party of corporatism, you're not doing a 1v25 on Jubilee. Like, that you're basically just confirming that, yeah, we are the party of corporate interests. Like, we're so fucking corporate, we'll go on YouTube and argue with undecided voters about voting for Kamala Harris. Like,
I mean, I guess that is kind of like the same kind of thing as Joe Rogan, I guess, but you probably
yeah.
consider that like.
Love you.
Are you out of here?
You out of here, Viv?
Yep.
I don't know what's going on. Well, maybe she just didn't mute.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that Pete Buttigieg 1 verse 25 was horrendous to watch, boring, and very short-sighted. I did not enjoy it.
Not a big fan of him either.
I know a lot of people that are, but at the same time, he wasn't the one.
And again, like, the way that Democrats participate in corporatism is not going to be the same as Republicans. Like, Republicans have Elon Musk. Like, that's just a totally different level of that nonsense. But Democrats still have celebrity. They have the celebrities. They have the journalists. Like, Tavis Smiley basically said that, like, DNC operatives gave me questions to ask Jill Stein in my interview with Jill Stein. And then I rejected them. And I told her to her face. Like, and they don't want to integrate, like, for instance, they don't want to integrate the Greens into the Democratic establishment, and the Greens don't even want to be integrated into that. But I think what they are afraid of is something that has a very
crazy, because I probably would be more Green Party than I would be this. I mean,
I think most Democrats would be more Green Party members than they would actually mainline Democrat. But
that's why I didn't vote for Biden. I didn't vote for Hillary. But I feel like if I had it all to do again, I would. Just because we didn't get the Green New Deal, but like the Inflation Reduction Act was like a really strong step in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like so happy we passed all those things. Like, maybe I was wrong about Biden. Maybe he isn't just gonna be like this,
Yeah, I think that
Democrat, but.
And again, like, I'm not totally down with party politics like this, but I think in America, you're going to need to get a wide coalition of different ideologies and make that the party. I don't know how that would work in terms of the legality of it, but basically, like, I think that the Green Party, the PSL, so like the People's Socialism Liberation Party, and whatever the fuck Cornel West is doing, I think that like that's much more powerful than having them function disaggregated.
Man,
And
I
I
just
think
love
that
these pain takes. I tried to look into him, but I'm like, he wants to abandon my family.
yeah, like I just think it would be so much stronger because then you can position
That's
different
right
candidates.
now.
Yeah, you can position different candidates in different ways. So like maybe Claudia de la Cruz has more value as being the face of a particular movement in this context than a Jill Stein or a Cornel West. And then you position candidates, and since you have your own ideological framework, you use that as your ground. Like you say, okay, like between all of our ideologies, what are the things that we collectively agree upon? We want to get rid of capitalism. Great. We want to detach people from markets. Great. We want to have a conscious and dedicated effort against white supremacy. Great. Use that as your normative ground. Still have your people's socialism, your green, your justice and peace party, and all those like individuals disaggregated, but you're concentrated as a political party. So when the rubber hits the road, you can position someone up as a representative of the party, and then you're not attached to this like, well, you know, they disagree on this, and that within our party. Therefore, like, I don't want to say it's like weird purity testing, but I think it would be much more stronger. It would just be a lot stronger. I think the in routes through the DSA, I think just a synthesis with like Green, PSO, and DSA would be incredibly powerful. But
I think
the DSA are a bunch of Democrat shills, so
Oh,
they got
yeah.
a lot of work to do.
I don't know. We need new voices out there too talking about this.
I think we've kind of ignored the blatant masochism that comes from the right as well, that they have to go along to get along. If you look at things like what happened to Vivek, and like them just straight up saying, yeah, we don't like you because you're Indian, but you're still gonna dick ride for us, like to his face. We don't have people in the Democrat Party or even the other parties that are willing to take that level of abuse and still be on that side. Like literally being called the Zodiac Killer but kissing the ring.
Yeah.
The shit Trump said about his wife. My God, what a cuck.
Like it's oh man. By the way, like this is an American stream. I don't know why somebody's talking about. I think Green Party is about to disappear in Europe. Yeah. Okay. Cool, friend. Anyway, like
There is one Brit in here, and
yeah.
actually, the Green Party disappearing in Europe does kind of suck. All
Yeah,
right?
I'm not disagreeing. I ain't disagreeing with that. Like, and again, like all these third parties are not immune to party fuckery. Like, you're not gonna find like the purest party on the planet that you wanna join. But then I say that, and then they go, "Well, why aren't you a Democrat?" When I say they, it's like those fucking God. There's so many of them. There's so many Democrat shills. They're all streamers. So they'll like you'll say that like, well, what party best encapsulates your values? And I go, well, in this current moment, green. And it goes, well, greens aren't going to win. And it's like, so then what's the question? Is the question about like who's going to win, or is the question about what party best aligns with me politically in the current moment? Like I don't know what's going on. But people are down bad for Dems in America. And in the face of their contradictions, they just want to keep voting Dems.
Well, it's just
I
a
think we do
two-party
need people
system, you know? Breaking that into a three-party system, it's going to take a hell of a lot of work.
I'm thinking at least
Might
4.
not even be possible.
Well, then, all honesty, I'm thinking like closer to 4.
What was that?
Nice,
I'm
but I don't know if
thinking
it'll ever
closer
happen.
to 4 parties over 3 parties, because 3 is just going to split the vote anyway. So if you have 2 other parties that are somewhat aligning toward the other 2
Yeah.
parties with differing ideas, you're going to be able
They'll
to get
never
that
be in
runoff.
power.
Yeah. And again, like, Democrats are more than welcome to be the party of corporate interests. Like, they're totally, they can be that thing. Like,
Oh,
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
even
they.
want them to be, but it's like it's just kind of, I'm trying to push. Like I said, I was more of a Bernie bro, and I guess that's not
Yeah.
even left wing anymore. But like, yeah, that was more where I was, and I'm kind of like just kind of, well, I look at it this way. Like I said, Biden, he put out the Inflation Reduction Act, and I figured, well, Kamala's just kind of going to be along the same lines, maybe a little bit further to the right, unfortunately, but
Mhm.
Still kind of along those lines. And if she's further left on some things, I guess that's what they said. I don't know if that's even true or not, but
Well, yeah, and not for nothing again. Like, I mean, it was said earlier, but there's no. When Hillary Clinton lost, there wasn't a coalition of Hillary Clinton supporters hoping that she would run again and be galvanized. They just bounced. They wore their pussy hats, went to Washington, and disappeared. Like, and
Yeah,
that's
like where are all Hillary Clinton supporters
exactly.
now?
I don't think they exist. Like, we
got an
saw
ovation at the DNC. I don't know.
we
I
saw
remember it,
that
but
the Clinton campaign manufactured consent and approval and like all those things when she was not what anybody wanted. And then in the face of it the second time around under Joe, they thought, oh, maybe the problem was like we didn't like Kamala Harris is the face of the DEI anti-DEI movement, and you tapped her to be your presidential candidate, and you thought the right wasn't going to pounce on that on day 0, and then every single like person was like, I don't know anything about this lady
they
because
knew people were going to pounce on it. They just thought that they would make them look bad, and I mean it did, but I guess it really
Didn't
didn't
matter
fucking matter.
yeah.
when the
And
other side
this
will wear
whole
that
I
badge.
am
coalition,
really disgusted with like how racist this country is, at least
yeah.
half of it, and just how fascist this country's become.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just always been as fascist as it needs to be. That's the part that I think people like lose sight on.
Like I said, the
Where
guys that advocated for police violence, if they would have picked like a Pence, and we had President Pence right now, I'd rather have a leftist in, but I wouldn't really, I wouldn't lose sleep on it. Like,
Yeah, I don't
whatever.
want to think it's just racism in the sense like it's way too simplified. Like when people literally think that the world is different than it is. They're subscribing to a reality that doesn't exist and saying, hey, things were better this time ago. I want things to go back to this time, and thinking that voting for this person is going to do that and it's going to make their pocketbook better. So people
That's the
were
problem. Like,
literally voting with their pocketbook, not with racism, and
how
not
do
even
you?
with fascism.
Republicans have always been the party of turn back the clock, but how do you turn back the clock without saying like, there's some really shitty stuff going on back then.
Like you really can't turn back the clock, and that's the illusion that's being bought into. Like inflation exists. We're not going to go back to 1990s prices, just the same as we're not going back to 1980s prices for goods. So we need to like actually fix the wages, actually do something to make sure people have money in their pocket and support the middle class, and stop
We got
buying into the
crushed on.
lie.
They got crushed in inflation, and like I hated it because I know both sides of it was awful, because like I really was worried about us like opening everything up and everyone dying from COVID. Um, and but I knew like if we kept everything closed and everyone's safe, this was gonna happen. We were going to take a hit financially, and we did. And I was expecting it. Everyone should have been expecting it. It was gonna take a couple years to catch up, and we're starting to catch up now. But
I think COVID was a good chance for an evolution of how the workplace is and how we form things to better keep our citizens healthy and safe, but we weren't up to that. We just wanted to go back to what it was before, when in
Right.
reality, post-COVID is never going to be the same again. And we still don't
I really
understand the
want to
full
see-
ramifications of what COVID has done and can do. So us acting like it's not a thing anymore is probably going to bite us in the ass in 10 years or less.
I mean, I grew up without the internet, like, before that was like a really big thing. So I remember like going home and like trying to ask my parents for like help with math, and they're just like, I don't know how to do this shit. I really think we could have done something with like education where we modernize the classroom at home, and you get help at home with problems and different things like that. Um, we didn't want to put in the effort. We just wanted to keep put things back the way they were and just keep doing what we were doing.
Well,
Even if there's
Lethe, to
nothing
your
happening.
point, to Lethe's point, like coming out of COVID, probably like a opportunity to like be a little more transformational. But basically, what happened was the politicians wanted to just get us back to the status quo. And the problem with the status quo before COVID, under really almost any president, is that even when the economy is showing good numbers in a lot of places, there's still a lot of people struggling. And that goes for the economy under anyone, no matter how good anyone can claim the economy is. So now you fast forward 4 years, and even when things are improving,
Oh, you
the
cut out,
numbers are
Mike.
looking good in some ways, will struggle. And so it's that messaging that like, hey, we might have got people or the country back to a certain status quo, but that doesn't mean everything's fixed, because there was pre-existing conditions with the way our economy was beforehand that we didn't really address.
That's fair.
And I think that's, to me, I wish the message of the weaknesses or the weaker aspects of the economy were put more in the context of like, hey, these issues that aren't addressed by a supposed good American economy, if we actually look into it, these issues were there before too. And now they're back despite what we call a good economy. It's not, I wouldn't say it's because like anything Biden specifically did. Yes, there were some policies that you can say contributed to the circumstances coming out of the pandemic, right? But we'll call the pandemic a unique situation. But even without that, just like the good economies in America, there's still a certain aspect of people that are struggling that we don't do a very good job at addressing. And so I think that plays into it as well. Instead of people just saying, hey, well, we're struggling under the Biden economy. Yes, due to a lot of the same problems that were existing on the previous status quo and the previous status quo before that, things that haven't been addressed in like 50 years, you know?
Well, amen. Wages don't really matter. It's still like,
hey, Paul in the chat.
A lot of times companies won't give raises to people, even though like the inflation has happened. But so that's its problem in its own. But like, you're just gonna have that basic like, I used to be able to buy this for $5, now it's $10, so the economy's bad, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Here and yeah, well, here's the other. Yeah, I would say going into this election cycle specifically, you have two messages being thrown at you. You have the left that's trying to give a huge comprehensive explanation of why the problems exist, what led to them, what we kind of did to try to fix them. And from the right, you have a very simple message. When you go to the grocery store, prices suck and it's hurting. What do you think is going to resonate with people? Even you can argue that like yes, but they don't have the proper context and they're not fully aware of like all the details and nuances that went into it. But your average voter doesn't care about that. All they care about is that it costs more at the grocery store. It's a very easy message to sell, to say that the economy is not as like it's not good despite them saying it's good. It's an easy sell job.
It's going to be weird too in the next couple of years. Not that it really matters because he doesn't need to get reelected, but it's going to be hard for like, I mean, Trump's not going to be able to just drop the price of everything either. I mean, He says
Joe
he's
Biden
going
made
to,
a
but
promise.
it's not going to be that easy. Especially putting tariffs on everything. I do somewhat like see a point to tariffs, but it is going to have a sudden effect of raising prices a little bit. Now you hope to have like companies invest in jobs in America, and then people will be making more money, and it will even out. But it is gonna at some point raise prices. It's really weird how like the left hates tariffs completely, and then I see like local politicians around here that are just like, oh yeah, some of them are okay. Like Tim Ryan was an advocate for some of the tariffs.
There's multiple ways to use tariffs. I don't think Trump used tariffs in the smartest way, and I don't think he will in the future.
I'll be right back, by the way. I gotta restart.
I'm gonna be rating out in a little bit, but yeah,
Oh,
by
shit.
all
Okay.
means.
Yep.
I think like what Joe Biden did with the tariff on Chinese EVs was brilliant because they're bad for our country. They're not even good EVs for the most part. And to keep that competition out of America,
He's an
I
asshole,
think
sir.
was an excellent move.
I know that.
So I'm
What's
not
his
going to
name?
complain
That
about
is
that. But when you're
asshole,
putting
major
tariffs on cheap goods
He's an
that
asshole too, sir. Gun his mate's
people at the
first-class
lower
Philip
end of the
asshole.
economy
How many
need to
assholes we
survive
got on this
because we
ship
made
anyhow?
them have to meet it, that's going to create a problem, and that's where that inflation really hit us.
Well, I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that we're going to bring back the steel mills. Like that's just
not going to happen.
Such a big ask, and the pollution would be out of this world anyways too. But like I've seen the auto plants around the country start to close up, and all the parts were coming in from overseas too. Like weren't even making anything there, shipping it there and just assembling it, having less and less people working there until they finally just closed up. It sucks. So I feel like the American dream just kind of died. We're trying to find stuff for us to do but most of it's just like, all right, I'll make your food, and then you get off work and you make my food, and it's like, all these restaurant jobs, or like you work at a grocery store, all these service jobs. That's all that's left. We have like the healthcare field where like we didn't really get big into that, but I really feel like privatized healthcare is a scam, but how many people would be out of a job if they just gave us universal healthcare tomorrow?
It's a good question. I never really considered it. I definitely know that people need healthcare, and there's always going to be a need for more nurses, more healthcare personnel. So I don't think it would be too.
No, I mean, just like if you're an insurance salesman, if you work for like an insurance company, and then they suddenly say it's universal and you guys are out of a job, then all those Americans are just out of jobs, and that's why they can't give us universal healthcare, and it sucks because it would be everyone else.
I don't think you could. I don't think you could. Something like that, such a huge undertaking. I don't think they could implement it like instantly. I think it would have to be some type of transition where you're slowly bringing people on to like the universal plan. Because yeah, there'd be a lot of infrastructure involved, a lot of admin and logistics to dump it. If we're talking about like Medicare for all, like that model where every single person's under the same like government healthcare, it seemed like you would have to do a lot of preparation for it.
We didn't get into it with the other raidoids are here that really are for private healthcare. I understand like the arguments for it, but I don't know. Just me, it does feel like a scam. And if you use your insurance, they're going to try to find every way not to pay. They just want to take your money. And that's.
Well, that is part of the business model, but all the same. All right, on that note, I think I will raid out into Universal Discourse. It has been a blast, y'all. Thank you for being here for the Cope stream. I hope everybody enjoyed. I had a blast. There's been great people, and thank you, Foul, for coming through. It's been great talking with you. Vivian, as always, you are amazing, and I hope you get well soon. And thanks for coming through, Mike. Like, you always have insightful ways of leading the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, I figured I did enough trolling in your chat. I might